generating more blocks.
Right.
Okay, so if I were to say, more blocks, I could say more blocks per minute or more blocks per second. So it's very simple. If I'm increasing network capacity, how? By enabling more transactions to go through, in the same amount of time by generating more blocks. So that's in that way it is increasing the throughput. And of course, the other way is going for layer two solutions. There is also a new concept of finality which is included. Okay, so this finality was never the case. I mean, there were tons of buffering apps, and that's what layer twos were doing. But now Ethereum also supports by design finality, where I would say transaction will happen faster. Okay, so it can get it can get verified first, and it get finalized later on. So that's the big change, which I see in the way blocks will get created. So more blocks getting created, blocks getting created more frequently, and the option for finality will make sure that there are more transactions which can get processed. And hence, the validators, the people who have actually staked their Ethereum and who want to make money out of it, they will get more chance to make money.
Fantastic. So rich will get richer. That's what you are saying. So
people who bought Ethereum way back, when I was buying Ethereum, it did not cost much, Manoj. You just had to be a believer on it.
Absolutely, we believe in this technology. That's the reason why we are having this interaction. So moving on.
Yeah.
So there is one more misconception. If you can just clear this for our viewers, is the transactions will noticeably become faster after the merge. So how are we seeing this? Can you just throw some light on this? How this transaction speed will mostly remain on the same layer, or will it not? What kind of technology can be, will be used to achieve this target?
Sure. So there are two parts to this answer, Manoj. One is, जो मैंने अभी बोला थोड़ी देर पहले कि there is more blocks getting generated. Blocks are getting generated more frequently.
More frequently, right?
My transactions will go through faster that ways. The other part is sharding. So there is sharding which is coming. It's beyond the merge. It will come in the next 6 to 12 months, which is a new way of storing data on the Ethereum blockchain that, Vitalik had issued a position paper long back on sharding. So if people are really interested to read about it and understand the technology, they can go ahead and read it. But sharding is a real needle turner. If I were to call it, a major event after the merge, that would be one major event which will make sure that this Ethereum layer 1, which is now the global settlement layer, becomes viable for scaling up the Web3.
All right. So since we are talking about layer 1 solutions and the road ahead, there is one more thought which investors are thinking about is you can withdraw the stake ETH once the merge occurs. So which is the date which is given is September 19th, and you have just mentioned in your opening lines that after the yesterday's upgrade of the network, it is actually a reality. That means September 2nd or 3rd week, we are going to see the first glimpse of the merge Ethereum. And congratulations for that as well, Samrat. So how do you explain this?
Congratulations to all of us.
So how do you explain the situation for our viewers who are actually staking Ethereum, and what will be the situation once the merge occurs?
So thank you so much, Manoj. This is a very important question, and I think everybody should understand कि इसके mechanics क्या हैं. So ये 32 staking की बात चल रही है. So first of all, 32 is only the entry point. It is not the limit. So people can actually stake more Ethereum also on the network and actually be entitled for more returns from the network. It just makes sure it's a way of saying, what portion of the transactions will come to you and hence determine your returns from the network.
Exactly.
So now coming to your question about whether people can withdraw it or not. So there is there's a technical answer to it, and there is a emotional answer to it. Emotional answer is, if you believe in something, stay with it and see it through. So I would not expect people to withdraw after the merge. I would expect people to stay and see through how this new network performs and what returns it is able to generate for all of us. A technical answer to it is the staked Ethereum is locked until the next upgrade, which is Shanghai upgrade. There's a Shanghai upgrade planned again in the next 6 to 8 months. So it is locked until that time. But the returns which people generate will be withdrawable from day one. So let's say it's consider it for layman language. Imagine it to be like your fixed deposit. तो फिक्स डिपॉजिट पे मैंने बोला कि बॉस यू डोंट टच योर फिक्स डिपॉजिट, यू जस्ट लीव योर फिक्स डिपॉजिट एज इट इज, बट यू कैन विड्रॉ एनी इंटरेस्ट दैट यू जनरेट, यू कैन विड्रॉ एवरी डे.
सर ये फिक्स डिपॉजिट कहाँ का फिक्स डिपॉजिट की बात कर रहे हैं आप अमेरिका की बात कर रहे हैं या इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं? तो उसके रिटर्न्स भी अलग अलग है दोनों के
रिटर्न्स बिल्कुल अलग अलग है.
अभी फिर इथेरियम स्टेकिंग के रिटर्न्स कैसे हैं? ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ एजुकेशनल पर्पस के लिए आप बताएं खाली.
नहीं तो इथेरियम के जो रिटर्न्स आएंगे वो वैलिडेशन ऑफ ब्लॉक्स के ऊपर आते हैं, राइट? फॉर एनी वैलिडेटर टू अर्न रिटर्न्स फ्रॉम द इथेरियम नेटवर्क,
वैलिडेटर्स आर नो वन बट माइनर्स.
एग्जैक्टली माइनर, मतलब in the proof of stake parlance you can call them validators,
right?
Miners.
Exactly.
So अब मैं अगर बोलूं कि if I have to send some money or some value or make a transaction Samrat to Manoj, there is always a transaction fee. Now part of that transaction fee goes to the person or the validator node which validated this transaction. Okay, बहुत ही simple बता रहा हूँ मैं. I don't want to get into complexities because right. I know it is for education of the audience and they should understand how it happens.
Yeah.
So एक छोटा सा transaction amount निकल के वो validator के पास चला गया बीच में. Imagine this validator to be a independent third party, does not know Samrat, does not know Manoj, only sees the transaction happening and validates whether this is a legitimate transaction or not. Okay, and adds that to the block which is on the internet, which is on the Ethereum blockchain. Now this validator, because he is running that node, he is spending money. He or she is spending money on maintaining that node. There is electricity, there's internet,
infrastructure, mining infra and everything.
Yes. So all that goes into it. So that is the reward that they get. And what they are bringing, into the network, they are bringing security. So the nodes of any blockchain network should bring in two things. Very, very important. They should bring in liveliness. Okay, the network should be live all the time. Should be consistent, right? And the second it should bring in is the security. I should not be in a position where I say there are only 20 nodes on the network, I hack 10 of them, I am able to control the network, right? So that is why these validators are required on a POS blockchain. So अभी क्या है कि जो ये returns इनको मिल रहे हैं, this return they can withdraw anytime.
All right, perfect. So since we are talking about misconception about Ethereum and you are bang on explaining for our viewers, बहुत अच्छी तरीके से आपने explain भी किया, लेकिन आपने एक शंघाई अपग्रेड के बारे में मेंशन किया which is going to occur in next 6 to 8 months. Very quickly before we move on to the last question, ये शंघाई अपग्रेड क्या है और उससे नेटवर्क को कितना फायदा होगा?
So Shanghai upgrade is planned to come in again, as I said, 6 to 8 months, but it's an upgrade which is coming to the network. So it's largely meant for the nodes. Okay, so performance efficiency, etc. You get to withdraw your staked Ethereum, etc. And then very importantly, there is a lot of financial engineering involved in this. So I also have to define incentives and disincentives for people to withdraw that staked Ether. So for example, जो APR returns लोग देखते हैं अपने staked cryptocurrency पे, वो उससे impact होंगे.
परफेक्ट. सो यही रीजन था मैं, क्योंकि मेरा जो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जो है वो शंघाई अपग्रेड के ऊपर है. एक और क्वेश्चन मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ इज आई मीन देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर एक्चुअली बिलीविंग दैट वैलिडेटर्स विल नॉट रिसीव एनी लिक्विड ETH रिवॉर्ड्स टिल द शंघाई अपग्रेड व्हेन विड्रॉल्स आर एनेबल्ड. तो ये सबसे पहले तो ये विड्रॉल्स कभी एनेबल होंगे और उसके बाद में जैसे आपने एक्सप्लेन किया कि वो आप 6 to 8 months तक आप नहीं कर सकते. तो ये जो मिसकंसेप्शन है वो आप कैसा क्लियर करना चाहेंगे?
सो मनोज, जिसमें बहुत ही सिंपल सा इसका आंसर है कि जो स्टेक्ड इथेरियम है वो आपने स्टेक किया है एज पर अ स्मार्ट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फॉर अ सर्टेन पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, लेकिन बाय वर्च्यू ऑफ बीइंग अ वैलिडेटर ऑन द नेटवर्क यू जनरेट सम रिटर्न्स ऑन एवरी ट्रांजैक्शन, राइट? व्हिचएवर ट्रांजैक्शन इज वैलिड बाय योर नोड. सो वो आप विड्रॉ कर सकते हैं, उस पर कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है. वो आप डे 1 से एवरी डे यू कैन कीप विड्रॉइंग the returns that you're generating. But I, including myself, and there are friends who I know who are doing this, people do not want to withdraw from ETH to. That is something which I'm just telling you. It's a popular opinion that your staked Ethereum is going to generate a lot of value in the long run.
How much times? I mean, how much value is more value for you for Samrat? Is 1x, 2x, 3x? I mean, is taking APR is expected to triple after the merge? Samrat, that's what you're saying?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is no number I would want to put to the APR increase percentage today. But if somebody is saying it is going to triple, I don't see a logical reason behind that yet. If there is there are more developments and these things happen, then definitely, Manoj, you and I will be talking across on this point, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Samrat, for being a part of this interaction. You spoke really well, and आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से ये सारे जो misconceptions है about Ethereum वो अच्छी तरीके से हमारे viewers को explain भी किया, and आपने बहुत अच्छा एक road map भी दिया कि यहाँ पर कौन-कौन से levels पर आप अगर validator है जो कि एक miner है जो कि upgrade के बाद में उन्हें validators कहा जाता है, वो उन्हें क्या-क्या कौन-कौन से steps को ध्यान में रखना चाहिए before making any investment bet in Ethereum. Although this show is about to educate them, and hence this endeavor. Thank you so much, Samrat, for being part of this interaction on 3.0 TV. Thank you so much. That's all there is in this special interaction on Crypto Masters. Keep watching 3.0 TV for more such interesting interviews. This is Manoj Dava signing off. Thank you.
NFT NYC 2021 Emerging Artist of the Year. Future 50's Most Influential People in Tech 2021. Times Artist in Residence. अरे आंखें मत मलिए, आप बिल्कुल ठीक देख रहे हैं। ये बड़े बड़े अवार्ड जिसे हासिल करने के लिए आर्टिस्ट कई सालों तक एड़िया और ब्रश दोनों घिसते हैं, वो अवार्ड 13 साल की छोटी सी उम्र में इस बच्ची ने जीतकर ये साबित कर दिया है कि कामयाबी की कोई उम्र नहीं होती और अगर पेरेंट्स बच्चों के हुनर को बढ़ावा दे तो सफलता की कोई सीमा नहीं होती। ये है टीनेज सेंसेशन नायला हेज, जिसने महज 1 साल के अंदर न सिर्फ तमाम अवार्ड्स हासिल किए बल्कि टीनेज के पहले पड़ाव पर कदम रखते ही ये बच्ची टीनेजर NFT मिलियनेयर का खिताब भी अपने नाम कर चुकी है। मिलिए 13 साल की नायला हेज से, जिसने अपने डिजिटल आर्ट के बलबूते अपनी एक अलग पहचान बनाई है। शायद आप इसे नायला नाम से ना जानते हो, लेकिन इन लॉन्ग नेकीज को तो आप अच्छी तरह पहचानते हैं, है ना? वेल, यही तो है नायला की सुपर हिट क्रिएशन, इन अनयूजुअल लॉन्ग नेकी डिजिटल आर्ट पिक्चर्स और उनकी NFTs की बदौलत नायला हेज की पॉपुलैरिटी आसमान छू रही है, जिस पर पूरे परिवार को नाज है और तमाम बच्चों के लिए नायला इंस्पिरेशन बन चुकी है। लेकिन ये सफर नायला के लिए भी आसान नहीं होता अगर उसके पेरेंट्स को उसके टैलेंट और मेहनत पर विश्वास ना होता और वो नायला को अपने ड्रीम्स चेस करने के लिए मोटिवेट नहीं करते। नायला के टैलेंट को सबसे पहले पहचाना उनकी मां ने, जिन्होंने नायला को प्रोत्साहित करते हुए 9 साल की उम्र में ही स्मार्टफोन दिला दिया ताकि नायला उस पर डिजिटल आर्ट प्रैक्टिस कर सके। दरअसल नायला को 2 चीजों में बेहद इंटरेस्ट है, एक तो ब्रोंटोसॉरस और दूसरा विमेन। उसका मानना है कि दोनों ही बेहद स्ट्रॉन्ग और ब्यूटीफुल हैं। इसीलिए नायला इन दोनों पर बेस्ड कुछ बनाना चाहती थी और ऐसे में जन्म हुआ लॉन्ग नेकीज का। फिर अचानक मार्च 2021 में नायला के अंकल ने NFTs का जिक्र किया और उन्हें NFTs के बारे में समझाया। जाहिर है ऐसे में नायला और उनकी मम्मी को अपने सामने एक बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी नजर आई। उन्होंने YouTube वीडियोस की मदद से NFTs पर पूरी रिसर्च की और उन्हें कैसे बाय एंड सेल करते हैं ये समझा। बस फिर क्या था, उन्होंने लॉन्ग नेकीज की NFT बनाना शुरू कर दिया एंड रेस्ट इज हिस्ट्री। आपको जानकर हैरानी होगी कि नायला अपने आर्ट के जरिए अब तक $7 मिलियन कमा चुकी हैं। उनका अब तक का सबसे महंगा सिंगल आर्ट $11,738 में बिका है। इतना ही नहीं, नायला को टाइम्स आर्टिस्ट इन रेजिडेंस अवार्ड टाइम्स वुमेन ऑफ द ईयर सीरीज के कवर पोर्ट्रेट से इंस्पायर्ड अपनी खास लॉन्ग नेकी ऑफ द ईयर कलेक्शन के लिए मिला है। इस अवार्ड की 1991 रेसिपिएंट अनीता हिल और 2006 रेसिपिएंट एलन जॉसन की पोर्ट्रेट्स भी नायला की इस कलेक्शन में शामिल थी। लुसियल बॉल से लेकर मिशेल ओबामा तक नायला ने 3000 ओरिजिनल पोर्ट्रेट्स बनाए हैं, जिन्हें वो अक्सर इंस्टाग्राम पर शेयर करती रहती हैं। नायला की सक्सेस स्टोरी से यही सीख मिलती है कि हर पेरेंट को अपने बच्चे के इंटरेस्ट और टैलेंट को परखना चाहिए और उसके सपनों को पंख लगाने चाहिए। फिर देखिए वो कैसी ऊंची उड़ान भरते हैं। ऐसी और कई इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज के लिए कीप वॉचिंग क्रिप्टो टीवी। दिस इज रुचि शर्मा साइनिंग ऑफ। बाय बाय।
Find out how disruptive blockchain technology is reshaping the world.
We will keep you connected to the evolving world of NFT.
For accurate and latest updates of cryptocurrency markets and global regulations.
Metaverse and Web3.
3.0 TV covers the latest crypto crimes.
Keeps you updated about the global crypto events and exhibitions.
आप आ गए। वैसे तो मैं कबूतरों को बुला रही थी। अच्छा हो गया आप आ गए। देखी मेरी प्रॉपर्टी कैसी लगी? अरे ये लैंड, ये मेरी प्रॉपर्टी है। मैंने डिसेंट्रलैंड पे खरीदी है 15,000 माना में। सच में? क्या? नहीं, मैं यहाँ रह नहीं सकती, कुछ उगा भी नहीं सकती, रियल में घर भी नहीं बना सकती, लेकिन मैं यहाँ एक वर्चुअल मूवी थिएटर बना सकती हूँ या एक वर्चुअल मॉल बना सकती हूँ, और कुछ नहीं तो हायर वैल्यू पर इस लैंड को बेच सकती हूँ। नॉट अ बैड आइडिया आफ्टर ऑल, है ना? अरे कंफ्यूज मत होइए, ये 21st सेंचुरी है, यानी डिजिटल का जमाना। यहाँ सब कुछ होता है वर्चुअली, और अब तो हम एक कदम और आगे बढ़ गए हैं। अब सब कुछ हो रहा है ब्लॉकचेन पर। बचपन में हम क्या खेलते थे? घर घर, लूडो, स्नेक्स एंड लैडर्स। चलिए थोड़े और बड़े हुए तो मोनोपोली खेली, जिसमें फेक करेंसी थी, टॉय हाउस, ऑफिस, फायर स्टेशन, एयरपोर्ट एटसेट्रा। लेकिन अब वर्चुअल गेमिंग के जमाने में ये सब ऑनलाइन होगा। इस वर्चुअल गेम के लिए करेंसी भी डिजिटल होगी, लेकिन उसकी वैल्यू जरूर फिएट करेंसी में होगी। दैट्स द पॉपुलैरिटी एंड पावर ऑफ डिजिटल यूनिवर्स। इन दिनों यूथ में गेमिंग का गजब का क्रेज है, ऐसा कि ब्लॉकचेन पर पूरा गेमिंग यूनिवर्स बन गया है। और आजकल सबसे ज्यादा हिट है डिसेंट्रलैंड। ये ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी पर बना एक वर्चुअल वर्ल्ड और कम्युनिटी है, जहां यूजर्स लैंड के प्लॉट्स, आर्टवर्क्स और एनएफटीज डेवलप और ओन करते हैं। यहाँ एक बार आपने लैंड खरीद लिया, उसके बाद देयर इज लॉट्स यू कैन डू विद इट। यहाँ आप बहुत कुछ क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि गेम्स, एप्लीकेशंस और यहाँ तक कि डायनामिक 3D सीन्स। Why stop there? यहाँ आप लैंड रिलेटेड सर्विसेज भी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, जैसे कि एजुकेशन, प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट, टूरिज्म एटसेट्रा। डिसेंट्रलैंड की पॉपुलैरिटी का अच्छा खासा श्रेय फेसबुक को भी जाता है, क्योंकि मेटावर्स के लिए डिजिटल रियलिटी प्रोडक्ट्स डेवलप करने के इरादे से जब फेसबुक ने अपना नाम बदलकर मेटा रखा, तो जाहिर है मेटावर्स की दुनिया में बड़ा उछाल आया, और इसका सीधा फायदा हुआ डिसेंट्रलैंड को, क्योंकि डिसेंट्रलैंड एक स्पेसिफिक टाइप का मेटावर्स है जो ब्लॉकचेन यूज करता है। यहाँ लैंड और बाकी आइटम्स एनएफटी के तौर पर खरीदी और बेची जाती है। डिसेंट्रलैंड के डेवलपर्स एस्टेबान ऑर्डानो और अरी मेलिक ने एक ऐसी वर्चुअल स्पेस क्रिएट की है जहां डिजिटल रियल एस्टेट पार्सल्स, आइटम्स और कस्टमाइज्ड एसेट्स माना में खरीदे या बेचे जा सकते हैं। डिसेंट्रलैंड की नेटिव क्रिप्टो करेंसी है माना, जिसे कई एक्सचेंजेस पर क्रिप्टो या फिएट करेंसी पर लिया जा सकता है। डिसेंट्रलैंड इथेरियम ब्लॉकचेन पर बेस्ड है। अगर आप सेकेंड लाइफ गेम खेलते हैं और क्रिप्टो करेंसी में ट्रेड भी करते हैं तो आपको डिसेंट्रलैंड बेहद पसंद आएगा। 2016 में 2D के साथ इसकी शुरुआत हुई और अब 3D में ये बहुत ज्यादा हिट है। Unlike ऑनलाइन गेम्स, यहाँ प्लेयर्स के पास डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल है ओवर द रूल्स ऑफ द ऑनलाइन वर्ल्ड। इतना ही नहीं, DAO यानी कि डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड ऑटोनोमस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टोकन होल्डर्स को इन गेम और ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल पॉलिसीज में डायरेक्ट वोट करने की इजाजत भी देता है ये। लेकिन नए प्लेयर्स जो NFTs में इंटरेस्टेड है उनके लिए काफी एंट्री बैरियर्स होंगे, जैसे कि इथेरियम गैस फीस की वजह से कई कॉस्मेटिक आइटम्स का प्राइस ऑलमोस्ट डबल है। साथ ही यहाँ लैंड प्राइसेस काफी ज्यादा हैं, जिसके लिए प्लेयर्स को $10,000 से भी ज्यादा खर्चने पड़ते हैं। लेकिन हाल फिलहाल में जैसे जैसे गेमिंग का क्रेज बढ़ रहा है, गेमर्स बढ़ रहे हैं, वैसे वैसे गेमिंग यूनिवर्स भी बढ़ रहा है। यही वजह है कि पिछले 1 साल में डिसेंट्रलैंड की नेटिव टोकन माना में कई गुना का उछाल आया है। लेकिन इसके पीछे की वजह क्या है, आइए बताते हैं आपको। डिजिटल वर्ल्ड की एक कहावत है, ट्रेंड इज योर बेस्ट फ्रेंड, और डिसेंट्रलैंड तमाम ट्रेंड्स को बखूबी फॉलो करता है, जिससे इन टर्न डिसेंट्रलैंड और माना को फायदा पहुंचता है। पॉइंट नंबर 1, जैसे जैसे बिटकॉइन की डोमिनेंस में गिरावट आ रही है, वैसे वैसे माना जैसे ऑल्ट कॉइन्स को फायदा हो रहा है। पॉइंट नंबर 2, लेट फरवरी में लॉन्च हुए ग्रे स्केल डिसेंट्रलैंड ट्रस्ट की मैनेजमेंट के अंडर फिलहाल करीब $49 मिलियन है। यानी इंसेप्शन से लेकर अब तक इसने लगभग 1000% की ग्रोथ देखी है, which is phenomenal। पॉइंट नंबर 3, डिसेंट्रलैंड की NFT वैल्यू में भी बड़ा जंप आया है, जहां किसी भी लैंड पार्सल के लिए मिनिमम 11,750 मानास चुकाने पड़ते हैं, यानी कि $37,012। पॉइंट नंबर 4, वर्चुअल इवेंट्स। पिछले कुछ महीनों में डिसेंट्रलैंड पर हुए वर्चुअल इवेंट्स के चलते हजारों नए यूजर्स इसके साथ जुड़े हैं। जाहिर है ऐसे में माना का यूज भी ज्यादा हुआ है, यानी ज्यादा बढ़ा है। डिसेंट्रलैंड के एक ऐसे ही वर्चुअल कॉन्सर्ट पे जुड़े रोहस नागपाल, जो कि एक ब्लॉकचेन कैंपेनर और प्राइम चेन टेक्नोलॉजीज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के चीफ ब्लॉकचेन आर्किटेक्ट हैं। डिसेंट्रलैंड के बारे में उनका क्या कहना है, आइए जानते हैं उनसे।
So I am a big fan of Metaverse and I started using the Metaverse somewhere in 2003 when Second Life came up, and then I remember in 2006 there was a rock show by a band called Duran Duran which happened in the Metaverse of Second Life. So I am a very big fan of it, and when I look at movies like Matrix, Avatar, you begin to understand, or Inception also, how cool the Metaverse can be. And I think with Facebook entering into the field, Microsoft entering into the field, we can expect a lot of people to start using the Metaverse. Now inside this Metaverse, there is going to be demand for buying land, making a house on top of it. Then in the house, you are going to put furniture, wallpapers, you are going to buy clothes. So it is going to create a complete virtual clone of yourself.
All right.
And I think it's really, really cool, but we have to also understand all the platforms will not succeed. So many parties are trying to get in. It's just going to be 1 or 2 which will succeed. So you need to be very careful which one you are going to be betting on.
डिसेंट्रलैंड के क्रिएटर्स ने बहुत सोच समझ के इसे क्रिएट किया है। अपने यूजर्स और प्लेयर्स की नर्व्स को बहुत अच्छे से जानते हैं ये, इसीलिए डिजिटल यूनिवर्स की फ्यूचर नीड्स और ट्रेंड्स को समझते हुए डिसेंट्रलैंड ने अपने व्हाइट पेपर में 5 यूज केसेस शामिल किए हैं। जैसे कि पॉइंट नंबर 1, एप्लीकेशन। यहाँ यूजर्स एप्स और 3D सीन्स क्रिएट कर सकते हैं डिसेंट्रलैंड की स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज की मदद से, दैट प्रोवाइड्स रिचर इंटरैक्शन। Point number 2, content curation. Neighborhoods have developed in Decentraland, attracting like-minded fans and growing organic communities. Point number 3, advertising. नेबरहुड में प्लेयर ट्रैफिक की बदौलत एडवर्टाइजिंग ब्रांड स्पेस खरीद रहे हैं और बिलबोर्ड सेटअप कर रहे हैं। वाओ। Point number 4, digital collectibles. NFT items are collected, created and traded in the Decentraland marketplace, giving users ownership rights. Point number 5, social. Decentraland के आने के बाद सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स पर जितनी कम्युनिटीज है या फिर जितने भी ऑफलाइन ग्रुप्स है, उन्हें फ्रेंड्स के साथ इंटरैक्टिव वे में सोशलाइज करने का प्लेटफॉर्म मिल गया है। अब जिस तरह ब्लॉकचेन पर ऑनलाइन गेमिंग का यूनिवर्स लगातार बढ़ रहा है, उसे देखकर तो यही लगता है कि मेटावर्स और डिसेंट्रलैंड की कामयाबी आने वाले सालों में सोच से परे होगी। अगर आप भी गेमिंग के शौकीन हैं, तो डिसेंट्रलैंड में शायद आपकी दिलचस्पी भी हो सकती है। वैसे ही वर्चुअल रियलिटी वर्ल्ड एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए बिल्कुल फ्री है, सो गो गिव इट अ ट्राई। ऐसे ही और कई इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज मैं रुचि शर्मा आपके लिए लाती रहूंगी। कीप वॉचिंग क्रिप्टो टीवी। ये पेंटिंग्स देखकर आपको क्या महसूस होता है? शायद पहली नजर में ये पेंटिंग्स बेहद रंग बिरंगी, आड़े टेढ़े चेहरे वाली बेतुकी पेंटिंग्स लगे, लेकिन असल में ये पेंटिंग्स एक कहानी बयां कर रही हैं। एक टीनेज बॉय की सोसाइटी के साथ स्ट्रगल ऑफ आइडेंटिटी, स्ट्रगल ऑफ एक्सेप्टेंस। यकीनन ये कहानी सुनने के बाद इन पेंटिंग्स के प्रति आपका नजरिया बदल जाएगा। ये डिजिटल आर्ट 19 साल के विक्टर लैंगोइस की क्रिएशन है। शायद आप इन्हें विक्टर नहीं बल्कि डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में इनके फेमस नेम फियोशियस से पहचानते हो। विक्टर एक ट्रांसजेंडर आर्टिस्ट है जिसने छोटी सी उम्र में सोसाइटी और फैमिली के साथ बड़ी जद्दोजहद भरी लड़ाई ना सिर्फ लड़ी बल्कि जीती भी, और अपने बलबूते अपना एक अलग नाम और अलग पहचान बनाई। विक्टर ने 19 साल की छोटी सी उम्र में वो कर दिखाया जिसे हासिल करने में लोगों की उम्र बीत जाती है। हाई स्कूल में पढ़ने वाले विक्टर ने अकेले अपने दम पर टीनेज मिलियनेयर का टाइटल अपने नाम किया। इस टीनेज एनएफटी सेंसेशन की मार्केट वर्थ है $26 मिलियन। इतना ही नहीं, विक्टर वो इकलौते आर्टिस्ट हैं जिनके आर्ट के लिए सुपर डुपर हेवी डिमांड की वजह से हिस्ट्री में पहली बार ऑक्शन हाउस क्रिस्टी की वेबसाइट क्रैश हो गई। तो हुआ कुछ ऐसा कि 23 जून 2021 को सुबह 10 बजे इतने ज्यादा लोगों ने अपकमिंग आर्टिस्ट फियोशियस की पेंटिंग के लिए बिड रेज की कि क्रिस्टी की वेबसाइट ही क्रैश हो गई। एज अ रिजल्ट ऑक्शन को रोकना पड़ा और उसे 2 दिन बाद के लिए रीस्केड्यूल किया गया। इस इंसिडेंट ने विक्टर की जिंदगी बदल दी। एनएफटी वर्ल्ड में कदम रखते ही विक्टर ने 2 रिकॉर्ड कायम कर लिए। फर्स्ट ऑफ बीइंग द यंगेस्ट आर्टिस्ट एवर टू फीचर ऑन क्रिस्टीज, एंड सेकेंड क्रिस्टीज की वेबसाइट को क्रैश करने का रिकॉर्ड। वैसे विक्टर की जिस पेंटिंग सीरीज के चलते क्रिस्टी की वेबसाइट क्रैश हुई थी वो थी हेलो आई एम विक्टर एंड दिस इज माय लाइफ। इन पेंटिंग्स के जरिए विक्टर ने अपनी जिंदगी का सबसे बड़ा सच दुनिया के सामने एक खुली किताब की तरह पेश कर दिया, जिसमें विक्टर ने अपने जेंडर ट्रांजिशन की कहानी बड़ी सच्चाई के साथ बयां की। जाहिर है इस पेंटिंग में विक्टर का दर्द और मुश्किलें साफ झलक रही थी, और शायद इसीलिए ये सीरीज उनके सो कॉल्ड कमिंग आउट और क्राउनिंग अचीवमेंट दोनों की खुशी लेकर आई। वैसे विक्टर की इस विक्ट्री का सफर इतना आसान नहीं था। उनका बचपन काफी तकलीफों भरा रहा। पहले तो सोशल सर्विस अथॉरिटीज ने उन्हें अपने अब्यूसिव फादर के घर से निकालकर उनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के घर शिफ्ट कर दिया, लेकिन हालात ज्यादा बदले नहीं, क्योंकि उनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स भी उसे समझ नहीं पाए, जो उसे स्कूल के अलावा और कहीं जाने नहीं देते थे। उसे कभी अपने रूम का दरवाजा बंद करने नहीं देते थे और ना ही उसे इंटरनेट का एक्सेस था। ऐसे में विक्टर ने परमानेंट मार्कर्स के साथ ड्रॉ करना शुरू किया। फिर जब उन्हें लगा कि उनकी ये पेंटिंग्स उनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स देख सकते हैं, तो उसने टैबलेट पर ड्रॉ करना शुरू किया ताकि कोई उनके आर्ट को देख ना सके। तब विक्टर महज 13 साल का था और एज अ यंग ट्रांसजेंडर आर्टिस्ट इसे सिर्फ एक एस्केप प्लान की तरह यूज कर रहा था। तब शायद विक्टर को भी इस बात का अंदाजा तक नहीं था कि वो आगे चलकर वन ऑफ द यंगेस्ट एनएफटी मिलियनेयर बन जाएगा। खैर, विक्टर की मेहनत और लगन दोनों रंग लाई। उनका डिजिटल आर्ट द एवरलास्टिंग ब्यूटीफुल $550,000 में बिका।
Oh my goodness, it's currently at $550,000. I don't even know what to say.
हाल ही में उन्होंने 24 घंटे के अंदर तकरीबन $20 मिलियन की NFT सेल दर्ज की है, जो कि निफ्टी गेटवे की अब तक की सबसे बड़ी सेल है, जिसमें करीब 5000 बायर्स ने 24 घंटों के अंदर फियोशियस की सिग्नेचर स्टाइल डिजिटल पेंटिंग्स परचेज की। आगे चलकर विक्टर एक मेटावर्स स्टाइल वर्ल्ड क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं, जिसे वो नाम देंगे फेमो वर्ल्ड, और वो मानते हैं कि ये तो उनकी कामयाबी की महज शुरुआत है। आगे आगे देखिए होता है क्या। थी ना बेहद इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी। यंग NFT मिलियनेयर्स की ऐसी ही इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज मैं रुचि शर्मा आपके लिए लाती रहूंगी। टिल देन, गुड बाय, टेक केयर एंड कीप वॉचिंग क्रिप्टो टीवी।
Hello and welcome to 3.0 TV. This is Manoj Dhara. So cryptocurrencies traded higher ahead of the outcome of FOMC meeting of the US Federal Reserve that will begin later on Tuesday. However, market participants are concerned about the further interest rate rise from the US Federal Reserve, which has hit risk assets across the board. So analysts now predict that the Fed would increase the rates by 75 basis points to curb inflation. However, the Fed could announce a 100 basis points increase in the rates as inflation continued to soar. So IC15 index of cryptocurrencies was trading higher by 3% at 27,800 points as investors are focused on the anticipated significant Federal Reserve interest rate hike this week. To combat inflation, Asian shares and stock futures nudged up in the earlier trade. However, following a recovery in the closing hours of the New York trading. So US stock prices, which is reserved as a two-day losing trend, S&P 500 gained by 0.7%, Dow Jones increased by 0.64%, and Nasdaq was trading higher by 0.76%. So Bitcoin, which was trading higher by 3% at $19,313. Bitcoin bounced back from a dramatic sell-off on Monday, but analysts said that the picture for the digital assets is growing gloomier as more volatility is expected in the key decisions from the Federal Reserve on Wednesday. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is in another announcement. Fund which has seen a volume garner lower interest from the institutional investors, a big worry. So fewer larger transactions on the network further points towards a lower activity from the institutional investors and large market participants. If we talk about Ethereum, price which has jumped by 3.5% to trade at $1,316, following which Ethereum has fallen, following the merge, Ethereum has fallen roughly around 15%, while Bitcoin has dropped 3% since the Ethereum network underwent a huge upgrade called the merge. So investors are also wondering whether the regulatory standing of the Ether may change after the merge, after the US Securities and Exchange Commission Mr. Gary Gensler has indicated last week that the cryptocurrency that worked on the proof-of-stake model, which applies to Ethereum, could be classified as a this is actually a concern which is there in the market. Meanwhile, the Ethereum Classic, an older hard fork of Ethereum, saw a massive jump in its hash rate post the merge, and it was trading higher by roughly 3%. So on my left, Binance BNB was up by 3.3% at $270. Next on the list is Polygon Matic, which was up by 0.7% to trade at $0.75. Polygon has even greater plans for the future with its side chains to desire to become the internet or the blockchains for Ethereum. This should permit the Ethereum ecosystem to develop much faster so that more decentralized applications should also operate on Polygon. The growth is towards a full-fledged multi-chain ecosystem. That's what the management has also indicated. Next on the list is Solana Sol, was higher by 3%, was trading at $32. Cardano's ADA token was trading higher by 1%, which was at $0.44. Avalanche AVAX was trading at $17 flat, which was flat to positive. Doge, the popular meme coin as we say, was trading higher by 2.8% at $0.058. Doge becomes, actually it is in a very interesting development, Doge has become the second largest proof of work blockchain, with Ethereum no longer employing the proof of work protocol, Doge has quickly become the second largest POW blockchain. However, Dogecoin rising to the number 2 spot of the POW blockchain is a real eyebrow raiser for the entire market fraternity. Next on the list is Ripple's XRP token was trading at $0.38, up by 8%. So, in a ongoing development, Ripple has sought to defeat SEC by arguments over the weekend. If we go back on maybe Friday and Saturday, the Ripple filed a motion in federal court in Manhattan asking for the case to be dismissed before trial because there was no investment contract given investor rights or compelling the issuers to act in their best interest. So Ripple has claimed that the XRP could not be classified as a security. An ongoing battle back and forth is happening between them and the authorities. So Shiba Inu is next on the list, was trading up by 0.6%. Next, last on the list is Polkadot, was trading higher by 0.8% at $6. So let's get a technical perspective view from our technical expert Ayushi Verma. Ayushi, welcome on 3.0 TV.
Thank you, Manoj, for inviting me here. So we have got good information from the yesterday's Bitcoin and Ethereum momentum, especially if you talk about the Bitcoin. So yes, the price was trading below the 20,000 mark, but if you look at yesterday's momentum, so we have got a confirmation that there are buyers still, buyers are there, and that's the reason we might be able to see a tug of war between the buyers and sellers. So what we can expect, we can again take up a resistance at 20,000. This can be our resistance, and 17,552 can be taken as the support area. Now there is a probability that because the buyers are already there, so there is a probability that the price will again hover around at the 20,000 level, maybe for some more time. So that is something, which looks interesting, that at least the Bitcoin is holding up this level. And if you look at the Ethereum, so let us move on to Ethereum. So for the Ethereum, yes, the price is trading down below than the 100 EMA. So we can still see that this is the 100 EMA level. So we can see that yes, unless and until the price trades higher than this, we are not very much sure about the uptrend. So yes, what we can see, we can expect that the price will be will trade in a range, and the range will be the resistance. In that case, we can take 1510, and the support we can take is 1215. So these are the two levels, and we are expecting that the price will be there in this area at least for some more time. And similarly, if you look at the IC15 index, since there is a consolidation kind of thing, so yes, the price here is also trading in a range, and for this index we can take 29,557 as the resistance, and the support area will be 25,506. This will be the support area. So this is let me just draw it again. So this is resistance and this is support level for this IC15 index. So again, the same momentum this indicator will follow. If you see the top 15 cryptocurrencies going in one direction, you will see the same in this particular index.
everything is fair in love and war. लोग इश्क में चांद तारे तोड़ने का दावा करते हैं और यहाँ NFT वॉर भी आपको चांद तक तो नहीं लेकिन स्पेस की सैर कराने की तैयारी कर रहा है। जी हाँ, रैपिडली इवॉल्विंग इस NFT वर्ल्ड में ज्यादा बेहतर और अट्रैक्टिव NFTs रिलीज करने का कंपटीशन अब प्लैनेट छोड़कर स्पेस पहुंच गया है। आई एम श्योर आपको यकीन नहीं हो रहा होगा। आप सोच रहे होंगे कि बड़े बड़ों को स्पेस पे जाने का मौका नहीं मिलता तो भला ये NFT कैसे बनेगी टिकट टू स्पेस। तो चलिए ले चलते हैं आपको इस NFT स्पेस राइड पर। तो सुनिए, एक नहीं बल्कि 3 ऐसे NFT प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जो कहीं ना कहीं स्पेस से जुड़े हुए हैं। तो चलिए शुरुआत करते हैं उस प्रोजेक्ट के साथ जो ना सिर्फ अपने NFT होल्डर्स को स्पेस में जाने का मौका दे रहा है बल्कि उन्हें एस्ट्रोनॉट बनने का मौका भी दे रहा है। क्या हुआ, होश उड़ गए? यकीन नहीं हो रहा? बात है तो हैरानगी में डालने वाली, लेकिन है 16 आने सच्ची। अपलिफ्ट एरोस्पेस अपने NFT कलेक्टर्स को न्यू शेपर्ड ब्लू ओरिजिन्स सब ऑर्बिटल रॉकेट में सवार होकर स्पेस में ट्रैवल करने का वंस इन अ लाइफ टाइम मौका दे रहा है। 10 मई 2022 को अपलिफ्ट एरोस्पेस ने 10,921 NFT आर्टवर्क की लॉन्च पास NFT कलेक्शन रिलीज की। वैसे दिलचस्प बात है कि मून की सर्कमफ्रेंस पर ही इस NFT कलेक्शन का काउंट रखा गया है। हर कलेक्टर जो इस स्पेशल कलेक्शन में से NFT एक्वायर करता है वो न्यू शेपर्ड पर स्पेस फ्लाई करने की जॉब अप्लाई करने के लिए एलिजिबल होगा। वो ना सिर्फ एस्ट्रोनॉट की जॉब अप्लाई कर पाएगा बल्कि स्पेस प्लस कम्युनिटी को रिप्रेजेंट भी कर पाएगा। लेकिन ये इतना आसान भी नहीं होगा। अपलिफ्ट एरोस्पेस टीम एप्लीकेंट्स को इवैल्यूएट करेगी और फिर एक फाइनलिस्ट चुना जाएगा। एक बार स्पेस फ्लाइट के लिए फाइनल एप्लीकेंट सिलेक्ट हो जाए उसके बाद लॉन्च पास NFTs के सभी 10,921 ओनर्स अपने लॉन्च पास को स्पेस प्लस NFT अवतार के कैरेक्टर स्टारबॉर्न में कन्वर्ट कर पाएंगे। स्पेस प्लस के अपकमिंग मेटावर्स के लिए बनाई गई स्टारबॉर्न प्रोफाइल पिक्चर स्पेस में ह्यूमैनिटी को रिप्रेजेंट करती है। लॉन्च पास और स्टारबॉर्न NFTs मिलकर स्टारबॉर्न स्पेस प्रोग्राम के लिए मेंबरशिप टोकन की तरह काम करेगी। To access future additional space-related community benefits, contests and products. आपको जानकर हैरानी होगी कि स्पेस प्लस 120 आर्टिस्टिक AR ट्रेट और मल्टीपल बेस कैरेक्टर्स को कंबाइन करके तकरीबन 120 बिलियन यूनिक स्टारबॉर्न ऑप्शंस क्रिएट कर सकता है, जिसमें से 10,921 NFT आर्टवर्क कलेक्शन के लिए सिलेक्ट किए जा चुके हैं। स्पेस प्लस का लॉन्ग टर्म ऑब्जेक्टिव है Web3 टेक्नोलॉजीज यूज करके अर्थ और स्पेस के बीच कम्युनिटी कनेक्शंस क्रिएट करना। Starborn collection will provide access to real-life experiences including suborbital and zero-G flights, rocket launch events, professional network, and payload space for exhibiting and showcasing items on the International Space Station. तो ये थी पहली स्पेस NFT और अब बात उस NFT की जिसमें झलकता है किसी का रियल लाइफ स्पेस एक्सपीरियंस। हम बात कर रहे हैं रिकॉर्ड सेटिंग फॉर्मर नासा एस्ट्रोनॉट स्कॉट केली की, जिन्होंने स्पेस में बिताए अपने वक्त को एक सुंदर याद में तब्दील कर दिया है। केली, जिसने इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन पर 2015 और 2016 में 340 दिन बिताए, उन्होंने ड्रीम्स आउट ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड नाम से अपनी पहली NFT लॉन्च की है। वो उम्मीद करते हैं कि ये NFT लोगों को अपने सपने पूरे करने की प्रेरणा देगी, उसी तरह से जिस तरह से टॉम वुल्फ की बुक द राइट स्टफ ने कभी उन्हें इंस्पायर किया था। उनका मानना है कि राइट टाइम पर राइट पर्सन को दी गई राइट इंस्पिरेशन से एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी रिजल्ट्स मिलते हैं। कंटेंट क्रिएशन स्टूडियो ऑरेंज स्टूडियो के साथ कोलैबोरेशन में ड्रीम्स आउट ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड तैयार की गई है, जिसमें केली के स्पेस में काम करते हुए कई पीसेस हैं, जिसमें बैकग्राउंड में री इमेजिन्ड अर्थ भी है। ये पीसेस 12 अप्रैल द इंटरनेशनल डे ऑफ ह्यूमन स्पेस फ्लाइट को ऑक्शन किए गए, जो कि कॉस्मोनॉट यूरी गैगरिन के 1961 हिस्टोरिक ऑर्बिटल मिशन के लिए सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है। इस NFT को ओपन सी पर ऑक्शन किया गया था और ये ऑक्शन 3 दिनों तक चलने वाली थी, लेकिन इसे इतना जबरदस्त रिस्पांस मिला कि ये $500,000 की सेल के साथ कुछ ही घंटों में सोल्ड आउट हो गई। इस सेल का बड़ा हिस्सा चैरिटी के तौर पर ग्लोबल एम्पावरमेंट मिशन नाम के एक नॉन प्रॉफिट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को यूक्रेन की मदद के लिए दिया जाएगा। यूक्रेन का ये मुद्दा केली के दिल के बेहद करीब है और इसीलिए वो यूक्रेन के लिए ये हर मुमकिन मदद कर रहे हैं। यहाँ तक कि उनकी NFT के एक पीस में अर्थ पर यूक्रेन का झंडा लहराता भी दिखता है। और अब बात तीसरी और काफी हैरत अंगेज स्पेस एनएफटी की। स्टाइलिश लग्जूरियस कार लंबोर्गिनी के बारे में कौन नहीं जानता। शायद ही कोई होगा जो इस कार को ओन नहीं करना चाहता होगा। ये कार कंपनी जो करती है वो सबसे अलग और सबसे यूनिक होता है। और अब अपने पहले ही एनएफटी प्रोजेक्ट के साथ लंबोर्गिनी ने हर किसी को हैरान कर दिया है, जिसके लिए उन्होंने स्पेस मिशन तक को अंजाम दे दिया है। दरअसल लंबोर्गिनी ने एक रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट के तौर पर 2020 में एक कार्बन फाइबर पीस इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन में भेजा। दरअसल लंबोर्गिनी इज द लीडर इन यूजिंग कार्बन फाइबर इन द ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री। इस स्पेस स्टेशन में 7 महीनों तक इस कार्बन फाइबर पीस पर एक्सट्रीम कंडीशंस में कई तरह के टेस्ट किए गए, इसकी स्ट्रेंथ और ड्यूरेबिलिटी को टेस्ट करने के लिए। इस कार्बन फाइबर के लौटने के बाद इस पर एक QR कोड इनग्रेव किया गया। ये कार्बन फाइबर NFT पिक्स का हिस्सा है। लंबोर्गिनी की इस NFT में 5 पिक्चर्स शामिल हैं, जिसे देखकर लगता है कि एक कार अर्थ के एटमॉस्फेयर से निकलकर स्पेस में एंटर कर रही है और ऐसा करते हुए ये कार एक्सप्लोड हो गई है और इसके पार्ट्स स्पेस में फ्लोट कर रहे हैं। मजे की बात तो ये है कि हर पिक्चर को देखकर लगता है कि ये एक कंप्यूटर जनरेटेड इमेज है, लेकिन असल में इसका पुर्जा रियल है। इस एक पिक्चर को क्रिएट करने के लिए आर्टिस्ट ने रियल कार के 1500 से ज्यादा इंडिविजुअल पार्ट्स को कैप्चर किया है। ऑफनर ने इस पिक्चर्स में नजर आ रहे हर एक छोटे से छोटे पीस को इंडिविजुअली शूट किया है और हर पिक्चर का रेजोल्यूशन 600 मिलियन पिक्सेल्स है, यानी आप बारीक से बारीक पीस को जूम करके उसकी डिटेल्स देख सकते हैं। रेजोल्यूशन इतना बढ़िया है कि आप चाहे तो इंजन पर मेंशन छोटी से छोटी मार्किंग्स पढ़ सकते हैं। इस NFT के ऑक्शन के 5 विनर्स को एक स्पेस की मिलेगी, जिससे वो NFT को एक्सेस कर पाएंगे कार्बन फाइबर पर मौजूद QR कोड को स्कैन करके। भाई वाह, क्या कहने। जिस तरह NFT आसमान का सीना चीर कर स्पेस पहुंच गई है, लगता नहीं है कि NFT महज एक ट्रेंड है। इनफैक्ट इसकी कामयाबी अब आसमान नहीं स्पेस छुएगी। होप ये स्टोरी आपको पसंद आई हो। ऐसी और मजेदार स्टोरीज के लिए देखते रहिए क्रिप्टो टीवी। दिस इज रुचि शर्मा साइनिंग ऑफ। हैव अ ग्रेट डे।
Hello and welcome to 3.0 TV. This is Manoj Dara. So in today's interaction, we will discuss about Polygon, which has firmly established itself as the most promising Ethereum scalable projects due to its highly capable development team that cracked few blockbuster deals with Coca-Cola, Instagram and Mercedes-Benz, which has identifiably brought Polygon into limelight in the recent days. Let me introduce you Mr. Ravikant Agarwal, Vice President Strategy at Polygon. Ravi sir, welcome on 3.0 TV.
Thank you for having me.
So, sir, since we are discussing about Polygon and its way forward, can you just begin with, there are a lot of announcements that have come in last 1.5 months. Market is actually reacting southwards and there are a lot of concerns in the cryptocurrency market, but there is something which is going on in Polygon which is attracting a lot of eyeballs. So, if you can just begin with.
Sure. I think, primarily we have been considering where to be a market for builders. And that's where we are considering, for a very healthy roadmap that we have for the next few quarters with a brilliant team. I think we are going to be, bringing in very, very interesting product and the upliftment of the existing product out into the market. We are expecting that with this kind of solutions that are going to be catering to large set of requirements and, various projects have different requirements, we would be able to bring in more adoption, more project onto Polygon ecosystem. So keep watching.
So, all right. So since we are talking about more projects and more adoption, we will discuss all this in detail. But how is Polygon adopting to the upcoming metaverse trends? What is what is the thought process as a network, and what is the way forward as far as this rising metaverse trend is concerned?
Yep. At Polygon, we are experiencing a lot of interest in terms of, where metaverse is going all around. There are premium virtual worlds such as Decentraland, Sandbox, Somnium Space, Project Origin, etc., which have considered Polygon to be a choice of their platform. Largest IP holder in the world are deploying new and innovative experiences on Polygon across culturally all important verticals, such as entertainment, retail brands, financial services, and many more. We continuously are putting efforts in terms of uplifting 3-4 areas. One of them is the developer first approach. Polygon have several solutions right from the POS to SuperNets, now the ZK EVM, which has been announced very recently. So across all the solutions which are EVM compatible, we have established tech stack and tooling solutions, and they are all with the Solidity language. So the developer experience has been very, very smooth. This is also at the very low cost and high throughput. So that improves the developer experience overall. At the same time, composability of a network makes it very easy for anybody to come and start getting their dApp out, especially in the metaverses where we are talking about some of the composability aspect, whether it is integration with the liquid stable coins like USDC and USDT, which again, few weeks back, we have made the announcement, plus the huge NFT ecosystem that we have built over a period of time, and one of the largest gaming community that certainly helps the metaverse space overall. And last but not the least is the increasing user base. So if you are looking at some of the stats, we got 800,000 plus weekly active users that has been consistently there for last many, many weeks, even in the down market turn. So I think overall, this sentiments and the ecosystem that we had at Polygon is helping many metaverse projects to come and start building those experiences for future.
Fantastic. Since you have mentioned that there are a lot of projects that are actually coming as far as the network is concerned, what is the way forward as far as the Web3 is concerned, sir? What is your network trying to achieve? And there is a huge opportunity as far as this growing Web3 area is concerned. So how well is this is Polygon network is placed to take advantage of this big opportunity?
100%. And I think, I might take a long stab at it, but I wanted to give your user a view in terms of how Polygon is looking in terms of the future roadmap. So, first of all, we got a very healthy ecosystem where more than 29,000 applications have been deployed along with the top brands which have chosen Polygon as their tech stack for Web3 journey. Let me start with the most adopted chain, which is Polygon POS. Now, with Polygon POS, we have seen that we have got a huge adoption as well as the composability of the network. We are continuously strengthening the composability and the network effect. Also, we are providing a very secure network to several global brands, such as Coca-Cola, which is something that you may have seen in the last few days. NFL, Mercedes-Benz, which is again a very interesting use case in terms of a decentralized data marketplace. Then we got few announcements in the last few weeks, including Macy's, Dolce & Gabbana, Bentley Motors, and some of the bigger ones also include Disney Accelerator Program. Very interesting engagement, and Polygon has been the only Web3 platform that has been selected by Disney Accelerator Program for their innovation in the Web3 space. Reddit, DraftKings, Instagram and Meta, Stripe for global payments, Robinhood, and in the mobile space, Nothing and HTC. So I think there are different verticals and different areas where current POS has been identified as a solution of their choice, along with some of the other Polygon solutions as well. Let me take a stab and give users a little more idea about what different Polygon tech stacks are out there, which can be leveraged for different types of use cases. I jump to the next one, which is Polygon ZK EVM.
Yeah,
I'm sure many of us must have heard about that announcement that happened in ETHCC in Paris.
So it's something to do with the rollups and.
Yes. I think that's going to be changing up, the face of Web3 to a large degree, especially with Polygon ZK EVM rollup that we have, which is the EVM equivalent rollup. That's where all these smart contracts, all the tooling would be very similar to what users are doing in Ethereum today. So the user experience is again very, very simplified. At the same time, we would be able to provide much higher throughput at a very, very, very economical transaction cost. Vitalik, if you have seen his recent blog, he has classified Polygon zkEVM to be one of the most advanced solution in type 2 zkEVM category. I mean, he has mentioned that this is the front runner which can come into the type 2 at the moment, though it has been classified into type 3. So the development is going in full swing for zkEVM, and in the next few months, we would be able to see what kind of solutions can start migrating and start building onto zkEVM, which is, we are very, very excited about. The next one that I would talk is a little more different in the dimensions and the type of use cases that can be built, which is Polygon SuperNets. Now, Polygon SuperNets is more of a sovereign chain where, a permission kind of a use case can be built, especially by the large institutions, enterprises, or governments. This is a package solution where all the required tooling and partner can be combined, and it makes it easy for the projects to just focus on building up their solution and then not have to worry about, building something for Explorer, on-ramp, off-ramp, bridges, and many other tooling that is required.
Fantastic.
The latest performance report says that it is easily 1500 TPS or addition. And at the same time, there is a very huge pipeline that we are seeing where many projects have come forward where they wanted to establish their own sovereign chain, and looking forward to SuperNet as an example. So this is a very different category of solution that is sitting in Polygon suite. Another important one is Polygon ID. And I'm sure, again, this is of area of interest for many projects, and we are seeing huge inbounds in terms of social media, Web2 and Web3 specific projects looking out for adding that identity layer on top of their applications. The first solution that went out for a DAO project a few weeks back has been one of the live implementation. So some of the key features in terms of on-chain verification, user privacy with ZK proofs are, some of the key highlights that goes out with Polygon IDs. And there is going to be a major release that would be coming out in a few weeks where, again, it would become far more usable for many projects to start integrating Polygon ID into their solution. So I think apart from this, there are a couple more solutions in the form of Polygon Nightfall, Polygon Avail, which are, again, at different development stage, and would be bringing in a lot of opportunities for Web3 project to start leveraging these solutions.
Fantastic. I mean, you have given a Shankar Mahadevan performance, as far a breathless performance, I must admit to you, because
there are so many solutions.
There are a lot of projects which you have mentioned. It is difficult for me to understand about a particular project because of the time constraint. You are also time bound, but you have taken an initiative towards a Terra Luna crash, which had that at that time, as per the news, you have migrated few projects from the Terra to Polygon ecosystem. So can you just give us a brief of what the progress and response on these projects? What is the current situation of those projects? If you can just highlight that, sir.
Sure. I think Polygon is providing all sorts of support and resources to the Terra ecosystem developers and their community to come and build on Polygon. There is a dedicated fund also earmarked to help projects that are migrating to Polygon ecosystem. And we have been seeing an amazing response so far. There are more than 50 Terra projects, and large number of coders from the defunct network have begun migrating towards the Polygon ecosystem. Some of the top ones include the Lunaverse, which is the metaverse platform, the One Planet NFT marketplace, and Derby Star, which is a play-to-earn game. These are some of the big ones, but the list keeps going on. And we are seeing a lot of projects who are considering Polygon to be the choice for migration from Terra ecosystem.
Fantastic. As you have taken a lead in such a tough time for the Terra ecosystem that crashed, but way forward is the Ethereum 2.0, and this is the big game changer as far as the entire crypto market is concerned. So at a time when there are a lot of optimism and there are a lot of market analysts, market participants and investors, fund managers, they are hoping that there can be a dominance shift towards the Ethereum community versus the Bitcoin. So what is the driving force? Why this ETH 2.0 is important? And what do you suggest for developers in this time, and how it is crucial for Polygon? There is another one for you.
Sure. I think ETH 2.0 is a very interesting, landmark from an Ethereum perspective. Whenever it happens, it's going to be improving the efficiency for the Ethereum base layer or the settlement layer, which is going to be beneficial for all the scaling solution as well. So, taking a step back, and for the audience who may not be aware about what ETH 2.0 means, so primarily it is a milestone where Ethereum would, in full capacity, would have 64 shards. And each of this shard would produce the similar type of TPS what Ethereum is doing today. So for example, taking a rough number of 15 TPS that Ethereum does today, if we have 64 shards, that means 64 into 15, which is roughly around 1000 TPS that Ethereum would be able to generate post 2.0. However, the timelines for ETH 2.0 are still not very concrete, and the work is going in full swing at the moment. I mean, in terms of providing the scalability, ETH 2.0 certainly makes the underlying base layer or the settlement layer more faster. That in turn help the scaling solutions like Polygon to become more efficient. So, first of all, even though whenever ETH 2.0 achieves the full swing, 1000 TPS still is not going to be sustaining,
exactly,
or rather, satisfying the need of Web3 computation that is out there. I mean, if we are talking about bringing 1 billion users, it's simple to calculate that 1 billion users whenever they are coming into the Web3 ecosystem, 1000 TPS is not going to be helping that out, and that's where scaling solutions would have a big role to play. And that's where Vitalik himself has been advocating that scaling solutions on top of Ethereum are going to be the need of an hour, and ZK rollups are especially the end game for scalability. And that's where Polygon is working very hard in terms of providing different scaling solutions. And we believe that for the large growth that we are seeing across DeFi, Web3 gaming, NFT adoptions, and especially when the large enterprises have started seeing and started their Web3 journey, I think this kind of throughput is not going to be helpful. And that's where layer ones are going to be mainly for settlement, but the execution would actually happen on the scaling solution.
Fantastic.
And that's where we would be able to bring more computation power from Web3 space and have Ethereum as the settlement layer.
You explained it fantastically that how post 2.0, ETH 2.0, what will be the relevance and importance of the network. But a way forward, why would they prefer Polygon over ETH 2.0? Ravi, if you can just explain this for our viewers, all those investors, viewers, fund managers who are watching this interaction, if you can just simplify this process for them.
Sure. So I think, even though, as I was saying, even though we are able to achieve 1000 TPS, and whenever that happens for Ethereum, between now and that particular point, and even beyond that, the continuous growth in demand for Web3 computation is growing exponentially. And that's where the scaling solutions would be able to take out the execution part.
Fantastic.
And we would be able to provide that execution on the scaling solution like Polygon. The execution result would be now anchored onto Ethereum. So if Ethereum is becoming faster, we would be able to anchor that at a very efficient cost rate. And that's where the security of Ethereum can be leveraged. But then if we are able to execute those transactions on a scaling solution, that would make the overall execution much more faster, and also make it very cost economical. So that's where no business would like to spend extra amount on gas fees. And at the same time, they would like to have the finality like the experience of Web 2. And that's where Polygon comes in play.
Fantastic. You explained it really well, Ravi. But you spoke about metaverse, you spoke about Web3, and you just mentioned about something which is going to happen as far as the NFTs are concerned. So Ethereum is the largest player as far as the NFTs from long time. There was something which is happening between Solana and Ethereum, and why your network is not taking a lead as far as the NFT is concerned, and if yes, you are working towards it, what are the projects that your network is undergoing to achieve this NFT boom?
I mean, I couldn't get your question very clearly, but I think if we talk about some of the recent project and few of the projects that I mentioned, which are certainly taking advantage in terms of bringing NFT to life and in making the user engagement or the customer engagement very interesting for their set of respective industry. For example, brands like Coca-Cola, Macy's, NFL, Dolce & Gabbana, Bentley Motors. I think what they are trying to do is they are leveraging NFTs in terms of bringing different types of innovations and user engagement. And these are all happening on Polygon. Primarily, when we are talking about NFT which has high valuation, there are many users or projects who wanted to keep it onto Ethereum. But otherwise, when we are talking about making it at a scalable model where the user engagement has to be smooth, the cost, the gas fee has to be drastically lower, and at the same time they should be able to trade, exchange without a fear of a gas fee. That's where most of those transactions would happen and are happening on Polygon. So I mean, if you are asking in terms of where is the NFT market going on, I believe there are already so many big implementations that has been announced, and they are working at different maturity level on Polygon, and we are seeing many more to come.
Fantastic. As you have rightly said that, there are a lot of announcements and projects which your network has announced as far as the NFT market is concerned. So what is the way forward, Ravi, as far as you have a lot of projects, a lot of things to work on? What is the expectations from the market, and where do you see the next phase of growth going to come from?
Sure. I think, this is a very interesting one. And what we are seeing is there is also a fear in the market at the moment where a lot of people have, been feeling the heat in terms of the bearish nature of the market at the moment. However, we feel that, bear is for builders. And, we should take an opportunity of this to put our head down and start focusing in terms of creating those innovative solutions. And Polygon is, supporting all sorts of innovations. We are seeing a lot of interest and innovations coming in the area of Web3 gaming, social media. NFTs are obvious one, but even a lot of infrastructure project and tooling projects are also coming to life. So we are seeing a lot of interesting area, and there are a lot of innovative builders who are coming out and building things, even though the market sentiments have been a little bearish. What we feel is there are few things that builders should continue to focus on. One thing is creating value. So they should be focusing in terms of solving some real world problems and build something with intrinsic value.
Right.
They should also reduce the complexity. I think Web3 has been known for very difficult user experience. So I think simplifying the user experience and making the technology invisible, even reducing the entry barrier for the user so that they can start playing around with those dApps that are built on Web3. I think that's going to be a crucial thing for builders. Third, but not the least, is ensure stickiness. So once you create a solution, continue to engage with the community and the users so that there is a repetition in terms of the interactions that they do with the application. So I think just my 2 cents in terms of sharing some ideas of what builders should be doing in this kind of a market condition, which is creating valuable product, reducing the complexity, and ensure that they have a stickiness from the users as well as from their community. And I think there are various tools that Polygon have, which the developers and the innovators should be leveraging, something like Polygon Village, which is actually a full stack ecosystem for developers to build and scale their products, and take best use of the vouchers, the discounts, the kind of mentorship that they can get it from Polygon, and obviously the large community.
Fantastic. As you have rightly said that there are a lot of positive things. What is the thing that can, Ravi, there is something which is going on in the overall cryptocurrency market. As a big network player, how do you see this current situation in this market, and what are the few points, elements, or maybe if you can just highlight that can derail the big expectations in the market?
So I think, are you referring to the possible?
I'm talking about the overall cryptocurrency market as a whole. How do you see? What's your reaction on that?
I see, this to be, or rather, I would classify this into 2 dimensions. One thing, certainly, it clears out a lot of projects which don't have a viable use case, and they are just building it like a Me Too application. So I believe this would clear out, or otherwise let the builders think once again, what is the value add that they are building, and, make those use cases more economically viable, and come back and now engage the community. So I think one aspect is, first of all, ensuring that you go back onto the whiteboard and bring something which is more tangible instead of a Me Too application. Second thing is the innovation hasn't stopped. I feel that, this is a very different era compared to what we have seen in 2018. There are a lot of foundation layer that has already been built in. So somebody who wanted to launch a Web3 application, the situation is far more different than what we have seen in the previous downturn. And even though somebody may be struggling in terms of attracting good eyeballs for their project, but I think they can leverage a lot of building blocks that are existing.
Fantastic.
And if the solution is viable, I think they can still attract the community and make a success story out of this particular downtime.
All right, one last thing before we let you go. What is your advice for our viewers who are actually looking to get some good projects on, in the cryptocurrency market? What is your advice? What they should do? Maybe the market is right for an opportunity, or pick some good projects. What is your advice for them?
Yeah, I would say that this is a time where we have to cut down onto the noise, right? We don't have to really just focus in terms of marketing and branding, but rather start building things. So something that I was mentioning, a few minutes back, builders should create values. They should identify a use case which is really meaningful into the ecosystem, and then try to bring in that economic sense or economic viability into their use case, which bring in the stickiness or the flywheel that is required for a project to succeed. And the user experience has to be simplified in order to be classifying them from the other set of tabs. I think if the project is able to successfully work around some of these dimensions, I'm sure that the bear market condition will not impact them to a large degree.
Fantastic. That's all in this interaction. Ravi, you spoke really well about the projects, the way forward, and what are the hiccups and in the road ahead. You also spoke really well about the metaverse. What is the future? Web3 you have just identified as a big opportunity, and a lot of projects you are working on the NFT space as well. Thank you so much, Ravi, for talking to 3.0 TV. It was a pleasure having you with us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's all there is in today's special interaction on Crypto Masters about Polygon. Stay tuned on 3.0 TV to watch more interesting interviews. Thank you.
बारह साल की उम्र में आप और हमने क्या किया होगा? खेलकूद, थोड़ी पढ़ाई और बहुत सी शरारतें। इनफैक्ट इस करंट एज ग्रुप में भी हम में से बहुत से हैं जो क्रिप्टो या एनएफटीज की एबीसी तक नहीं जानते। ऐसे में हमारे लिए एग्जाम्पल सेट कर रहे हैं कुछ ऐसे होशियार बच्चे जो टीनेज हिट करने से पहले ही मिलियनेयर बन गए हैं। जी हाँ, जो मुकाम हम 14 साल की रिगरस स्कूलिंग, फिर कॉलेज और मास्टर्स में रट्टाफिकेशन और फाइनली जॉब के स्ट्रेस के बाद भी हासिल नहीं कर पाते, वो कामयाबी लंदन में रहने वाले बेन्यामिन अहमद ने महज 12 साल की उम्र में खुद अकेले अपने दम पर अचीव की है। हैरानी की बात तो ये है कि बेन्यामिन ने ये कमाई एनएफटीज के जरिए क्रिप्टो में की है। क्रिप्टो पंक्स की तर्ज पर बने ये वियर्ड वेल कैरेक्टर्स तो आपने देखे ही होंगे। दरअसल इन फेमस वियर्ड वेल्स एनएफटी के पीछे का असल चेहरा है बेन्यामिन। जी हाँ, 8th क्लास में पढ़ने वाले बेन्यामिन ने ही क्रिएट की है ये पिक्सेलेटेड वेल्स जो रातों रात सुपर डुपर हिट हो गई, और वो भी इस कदर कि बेन्यामिन का क्रिप्टो वॉलेट करीब $1 मिलियन के साथ लबालब हो गया, और वो भी 1 साल से कम वक्त में। Isn't that just crazy? है ना? अब आपके मन में भी यही सवाल आ रहा होगा कि भला वीडियो गेम खेलने की उम्र में ऐसी क्रिएटिव एनिमेटेड इमेजेस क्रिएट करने का आइडिया और उनकी एनएफटीज बनाने की नॉलेज इसे कहां से मिली? तो हुआ कुछ ऐसा कि बेन्यामिन के फादर के एक फ्रेंड जो कि लंदन स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में प्रोग्रामर है, उन्होंने $27,000 में एक रेयर पेपे इमेज खरीदी। बेशक उस वक्त हर कोई उन्हें हैरत भरी निगाहों से देख रहा था कि भला एक जेपेग पर कोई इतनी भारी रकम क्यों बर्बाद करेगा, लेकिन 6 महीने के अंदर उन्होंने उसी इमेज को $500,000 पर बेचकर तमाम हंसने वालों को करारा जवाब दिया। खैर, ये किस्सा बेन्यामिन के दिलो दिमाग में घर कर गया कि एक जेपेग इतनी कीमती साबित हो सकती है। जाहिर है NFT अवतार्स की तरफ बेन्यामिन का ध्यान खिंचा, जहां क्रिप्टो पंक्स ऑलरेडी करोड़ों में कमाई कर रहे थे। वैसे आपको जानकर हैरानी होगी कि बेन्यामिन 5 साल की उम्र से कोडिंग सीख रहा है, लेकिन NFT की इस दुनिया को करीब से जानने और समझने के लिए बेन्यामिन ने दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी NFT मार्केटप्लेस OpenSea को खुद से एक्सप्लोर करना शुरू किया और अपनी प्रोफाइल पिक्चर जनरेट करना सीखा। फिर काफी सोच विचार के बाद बेन्यामिन ने वियर्ड व्हेल कैरेक्टर डिजाइन किया। वैसे व्हेल का कैरेक्टर चूज करने के पीछे भी एक वजह है। जिन रईसों के पास 1000 बिटकॉइन से ज्यादा होते हैं उन्हें व्हेल कहा जाता है। इसीलिए बेन्यामिन ने इस कार्टूनिश और पिक्सेलेटेड व्हेल कैरेक्टर के जरिए खुद क्रिप्टो व्हेल बनने का पूरा प्लान तैयार कर लिया। बेन्यामिन ने जून 2021 में पहली वियर्ड व्हेल रिलीज की और एक ट्वीट के थ्रेड के जरिए इसकी अनाउंसमेंट की। मजे की बात तो यह है कि उनकी पोस्ट वायरल हो गई और वो NFT यूनिवर्स में सॉर्ट ऑफ सेलिब्रिटी बन गए। बेन्यामिन की कामयाबी का आलम अब यह है कि वो ऐसे डिजाइनर्स के साथ कोलैबोरेट कर रहे हैं जो मार्वल और डिज्नी के लिए काम करते हैं। बेन्यामिन की इस कलेक्शन में 3350 व्हेल्स हैं, जिनमें से कुछ ने बेसबॉल कैप या स्वेट बैंड्स पहने हैं, कुछ सिगार के मजे ले रही हैं, तो कुछ हैट फ्लॉन्ट कर रही हैं। बेन्यामिन के पास इस कलेक्शन का डिजिटल कॉपीराइट भी है और इनमें से कुछ तो $20,000 तक में बिकी हैं। बेन्यामिन ने अब तक जितनी व्हेल कलेक्शन पर काम किया है उनकी टोटल ट्रेडेड कलेक्शन है $5 मिलियन, जिसमें से करीब $1 मिलियन बेन्यामिन के वॉलेट में है। अब तक बेन्यामिन ने अपने वॉलेट में मौजूद क्रिप्टो को फियाट करेंसी में कन्वर्ट नहीं किया है और ना ही इसे कन्वर्ट करने का उनका कोई इरादा है। इनफैक्ट बेन्यामिन के पास तो कोई बैंक अकाउंट तक नहीं है। खैर, बेन्यामिन का मानना है कि क्रिप्टो की वैल्यू आसमान छुएगी, इसीलिए वो फिलहाल अपनी इस क्रिप्टो दौलत को छूना भी नहीं चाहते और वक्त के साथ इसे बढ़ते हुए देखना चाहते हैं। आपको जानकर हैरानी होगी कि व्हेल कैरेक्टर डिजाइन करने से लेकर इनके NFTs बेचने तक बेन्यामिन ने सब कुछ बहुत चुपचाप और सीक्रेटली किया। इनफैक्ट उनकी फैमिली और फ्रेंड्स को तो तब पता चला जब बेन्यामिन की सक्सेस स्टोरी ने सुर्खियां बटोरी। बेन्यामिन को इस बात की खुशी है कि उनकी फैमिली उन पर गर्व महसूस करती है और खास तौर पर उनके बीमार ग्रैंडफादर को बेन्यामिन की मीडिया कवरेज देखकर बहुत खुशी हुई। 12 साल की छोटी सी उम्र में बेन्यामिन ने जिंदगी का फलसफा सीख लिया है, जो ये मानते हैं कि असल खुशी दौलत से नहीं बल्कि फैमिली के साथ बिताए ऐसे प्रेशियस मोमेंट्स से मिलती है। थी ना दिलचस्प कहानी? वेल, ऐसी ही कई और यंग NFT मिलियनेयर की कहानियां मैं रुचि शर्मा आपके लिए लाती रहूंगी। डू लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू क्रिप्टो टीवी। हैव अ ग्रेट डे।
नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं संदीप कसालकर। क्रिप्टो टीवी के एक स्पेशल एपिसोड में आप सभी का स्वागत है। दोस्तों, मौत आपके और हमारे जिंदगी का एक न मिटने वाला सच है, लेकिन इसके बारे में अक्सर बात करना तक मनहूस माना जाता है। हालांकि जब मुद्दा फाइनेंशियल मैटर्स का हो तो इसके बारे में सोचना सबसे जरूरी बन जाता है। बात करें क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टर्स की तो ज्यादातर क्रिप्टो के इन्वेस्टर्स ये कभी ना कभी सोचते जरूर है कि आखिर उनके इस दुनिया से जाने के बाद उनकी क्रिप्टो का क्या होगा। ऐसा मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, बल्कि क्रिमेशन इंस्टीट्यूट ने अपनी एक स्टडी में खुद बताया है। कुल 90% इन्वेस्टर्स के दिमाग में ये सवाल आता ही है कि उनके मरने के बाद आखिर उनके क्रिप्टो में किए गए इन्वेस्टमेंट का क्या होगा। इससे ही मिलता जुलता एक सवाल इस साल की शुरुआत में रैन क्लीन के दिमाग में तब आया जब उन्होंने मौत को बड़े ही करीब से देखा था। दोस्तों, हम सभी नौकरी से लेकर इन्वेस्टमेंट किस लिए करते हैं, तो उसका सीधा जवाब होता है परिवार के लिए। लेकिन तब क्या होगा जब आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट उनके किस काम की नहीं होगी? ठीक ऐसा ही 32 वर्षीय IT प्रोफेशनल क्लीन ने सोचा था जब वो सीढ़ी से फिसलने की वजह से 10 फीट नीचे झाड़ियों में गिर गए थे। गिरने के बाद खुद को संभालने से पहले क्लीन के दिमाग में जो चीज चल रही थी वो किसी को भी डरा देती। दरअसल उन्हें एहसास हुआ कि उन्होंने अपनी पत्नी को अपने क्रिप्टो करेंसी का एक्सेस नहीं दिया है। अगर आज उन्हें कुछ हो गया होता तो उनकी $77,000 की अलग अलग कॉइन्स में होल्डिंग्स किसी काम की नहीं रह जाती। ऐसे में उन्होंने बिना कोई समय गवाए अपने प्राइवेट कीज और अकाउंट पासवर्ड्स को लिख उन तक पहुंचने के इंस्ट्रक्शन तक को अपने खास के लिए संभाल कर रख दिया था। सभी क्रिप्टो ट्रेडर्स अपनी होल्डिंग को या तो हॉट वॉलेट्स या फिर कोल्ड वॉलेट्स में स्टोर किया करते हैं। तो फिर क्या बस आप अपने इन्हीं वॉलेट्स के कीज को परिवार में मौजूद अपने किसी भी मेंबर से शेयर कर दे और फिर क्या आपकी टेंशन को कह दे टाटा। क्रिप्टो इंडस्ट्री में अब तक कई सबसे पॉपुलर नामों में पब्लिकली इस तरीके को अपनाने का दावा किया है ताकि फ्यूचर में किसी तरह की दिक्कत का सामना करना न पड़े। ठीक वैसे ही जैसे हेल फिनी ने अपनी क्रिप्टो होल्डिंग्स के कीज को मरने से पहले बच्चों को दे दिया था। बता दें कि ये वही शख्स है जिसने बीटीसी क्रिएटर सातोशी नाकामोटो द्वारा किए गए पहले बिटकॉइन ट्रांजैक्शन को हासिल किया था। हालांकि सभी की कहानी फिने जितनी ही हैप्पी एंडिंग वाली नहीं होती, बल्कि कई आपको डराने के साथ वॉर्न भी करती है। इसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जांपल है क्वाड्रिगा CX के फाउंडर गैरी कॉटन की इंडिया में हुई अचानक मौत। दोस्तों, कॉटन की उम्र 2018 में बस 30 साल की थी जब उन्होंने आखिरी सांस ली थी। लेकिन दुख की बात यह है कि उन्होंने अपने अंतिम समय के आने से पहले $145 मिलियन के क्रिप्टो टोकन्स के कीज को किसी के साथ शेयर नहीं किया था। और इस तरह से यह कहना गलत नहीं होगा कि उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट उन्हीं के साथ ही चली गई। एक तरफ क्रिप्टो की दुनिया में कीज शेयर करने की प्रैक्टिस बेहद सिंपल है, लेकिन दूसरी तरफ उतनी ही रिस्की भी है, क्योंकि शेयर की जाने वाली कीज उन एसेट्स को सुरक्षित रखने की जिम्मेदारी के साथ आती है। अब सवाल जहां तक हॉट वॉलेट का है, तो बता दें कि दुनिया भर के कई जाने माने एक्सचेंजेस मृत क्रिप्टो होल्डर के परिवार को एसेट्स का एक्सेस देते हैं, लेकिन कई जरूरी डॉक्यूमेंट्स जमा करने के बाद ही, जिसमें डेथ सर्टिफिकेट्स और लास्ट विल भी शामिल होती है। हालांकि क्रिप्टो वर्ल्ड में मौजूद बहुत सी कंपनीज है जो डिजिटल एसेट्स को विरासत की तरह आगे बढ़ाने पर काम कर रही है। ऐसे ही कंपनीज में सेफ हेवन, कैसा और ट्रस्टवर्स का भी नाम आता है, जो बदलते समय के साथ इन सभी मुद्दों पर काम कर रही है ताकि ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नोलॉजी और क्रिप्टोग्राफी के इस्तेमाल से बड़ी ही आसानी से क्रिप्टो एसेट्स को वसीयत का रूप देकर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन तक पास ऑन किया जा सके। दरअसल मैं बात कर रहा हूं डिजिटल फाइनेंशियल एक्सचेंज यानी DIFX के CEO जीतू कटारिया की, जिन्होंने किसी की भी मृत्यु से पहले क्रिप्टो कीज को आगे पास करने के इंपॉर्टेंस पर रोशनी डाली है। कटारिया के मुताबिक DIFX ने अपने होल्डर्स के लिए एक ब्लॉकचेन बेस्ड नॉमिनेशन प्रोग्राम क्रिएट किया है, जिसका फायदा यह है कि होल्डर द्वारा चुने गए किसी भी ट्रस्टेड इंडिविजुअल्स, फैमिली और फ्रेंड्स में से एक को वॉलेट के ओनर की मृत्यु स्थिति में क्रिप्टो वॉलेट्स का बेनिफिशियरी बनाया जा सके। इसके अलावा कटारिया ने आगे ये भी बताया कि ब्लॉकचेन बेस्ड ये सिस्टम इंश्योर करता है कि बेनिफिशियरीज को पूरी तरह से वेरीफाई किया गया हो ताकि आगे चलकर किसी भी तरह के सवाल न उठाए जा सके। इस तरह से प्राइवेट कीज और एक्सेस क्रेडेंशियल्स देने की तुलना में कटारिया अपने नजर में इस तरीके को ज्यादा एफिशिएंट और सिक्योर मानते हैं। हालांकि यह सुविधा कई लोगों द्वारा पसंद की जा सकती है, लेकिन जो ट्रेडर्स डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन प्रीफर करते हैं शायद उन्हें इसमें दिलचस्पी ना हो। इन सब के बीच कटारिया का यह मानना है कि सेंट्रलाइजेशन की फॉर मास एडॉप्शन है। हाल की बात करें तो हमने क्रिप्टो एक्सपो दुबई 2022 में मिस्टर जीतू कटारिया से खास बातचीत की, जहां उन्होंने नॉमिनेशन प्रोग्राम फीचर को लॉन्च किया। आइए देखते हैं उन्होंने इस वीडियो में क्या कहा है।
सबसे बड़ी तकनीक जिसे हमने अभी इस महीने इंटीग्रेट किया है और हम अपने आर्किटेक्चरल चेंजेस नॉमिनेशन प्रोग्राम के साथ लाइव हो गए हैं, जहां हमें लगता है कि हमने आज एक्सचेंजेस को देखा है। मैं इन एक्सचेंजेस का नाम नहीं लूंगा, लेकिन वे बिलियंस पर बैठे हैं और बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स के क्रिप्टो एसेट्स जो अनक्लेम्ड है, जहां इन यूजर्स के परिवार के सदस्य जो हाल ही में चले गए हैं, जिनकी मृत्यु हो गई है, वे नहीं जानते कि इन संपत्तियों को कैसे पाना है। आज 6 महीने के भीतर हमने DIFX नॉमिनेशन प्रोग्राम का ये पूरा प्लेटफॉर्म बना दिया है, जहां आप परिवार के 5 सदस्यों को नॉमिनेट कर सकते हैं और अगर आपको कुछ भी होता है तो ये सभी एसेट्स जो आपके पास DIFX प्लेटफॉर्म पर है वो ऑटोमेटिकली आपके परिवार के सदस्यों के पास चली जाएगी और वो सब कुछ ब्लॉकचेन पर है। यूजर जो कुछ भी डाल रहे हैं वो ब्लॉकचेन पर दर्ज किया गया है। इसलिए हमने दुनिया को ये दिखाया है कि कैसे टेक एंड ट्रांसपेरेंटली एक एक्सचेंज चलाना चाहिए।
जैसे कि आप और मैं हमारे जाने के बाद भी अपनों और उनकी खुशी का ख्याल रखने के लिए पॉलिसी लिया करते हैं, ठीक वैसे ही क्रिप्टो की दुनिया में इन्वेस्ट करने वाले हर एक इन्वेस्टर्स को क्रिप्टो की दुनिया में मौजूद अकाउंट और पासवर्ड को परिवार के लिए कहीं ना कहीं सुरक्षित रख देनी चाहिए, ताकि आपके जाने के बाद भी आपकी इन्वेस्टमेंट रख सके आपके अपनों का ख्याल। अगर ये स्टोरी आपको पसंद आई हो तो इसे जरूर लाइक और शेयर करें और हाँ, आपकी प्रतिक्रिया कमेंट बॉक्स में जरूर दें। इसी तरह की मजेदार स्टोरीज लेकर मैं फिर आपसे मिलूंगा। तब तक के लिए मैं संदीप कसालकर आपसे विदा लेता हूं। देखते रहिए क्रिप्टो टीवी। दोस्तों, मैं और आप सभी लोग जानते हैं कि सोशल मीडिया में हम सभी लोग 100% जुड़े हुए हैं। पर क्या आप जानते हैं कि सोशल मीडिया की ओर बढ़ने वाला हमारा हर एक कदम को स्कैमर्स ट्रैक कर रहे हैं। कुछ गलत क्लिकों के परिणाम स्वरूप स्कैमर्स आपके पोर्टफोलियो तक पहुंच प्राप्त कर सकते हैं और पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं और आपकी हार्ड अर्न मनी को चुरा सकते हैं। तो दोस्तों, आइए जानते हैं ऐसे 6 अलग अलग क्रिप्टो स्कैम्स के बारे में जिन्होंने सोशल मीडिया पर अपना जाल बिछा कर रखा है। नमस्कार, मी संदीप कसालकर। क्रिप्टो टीव्ही मध्ये आपल्या सर्वांचे पुन्हा एकदा स्वागत। आज मी पुन्हा एकदा NFT मिलेनियरची नवीन इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरी घेऊन आलोय आणि मला आशा आहे की ती तुम्हाला नक्कीच आवडणार आहे। चला तर मग सुरुवात करूया। मित्रांनो, मोठे मोठे अवॉर्ड जिंकण्यासाठी कलाकारांना बरीच वर्ष मेहनत करावी लागतात आणि तेच अवॉर्ड 13 वर्षांच्या लहान वयात या मुलीनं जिंकून हे सिद्ध केलंय की यश प्राप्त करण्यासाठी वयाची मर्यादा नसते आणि जर का पॅरेंट्सने आपल्या मुलांच्या कलागुणांना वाव दिला तर यशाला तर मर्यादाच नसते। मित्रांनो, या मुलीचं नाव आहे नायला हेस, जिने अवघ्या वर्षभरात हे सर्व पुरस्कार जिंकले नाहीत तर किशोर वयात पहिल्या टप्प्यावर पाऊल ठेवल्यानंतर या मुलीने टीनेजर NFT मिलेनियरचा किताबही पटकावलाय। 13 वर्षांची नायला हेस हिने तिच्या डिजिटल कलेच्या जोरावर आपली एक वेगळी ओळख निर्माण केली आहे। मित्रांनो, कदाचित तुम्ही हिला नायला नावाने ओळखत नसाल, परंतु या लॉंग नेकीसला तर तुम्ही चांगल्याच प्रकारे ओळखत असाल, बरोबर ना? वेल, हेच तर आहे नायलाचे सुपरहिट क्रिएशन। या अनयुजुअल लॉंग नेकीज डिजिटल आर्ट पिक्चर्समुळे नायला हायची लोकप्रियता ही गगनाला भिडते। तिच्या NFTs ज्याचा संपूर्ण कुटुंबाला अभिमान आहे आणि सोबत नायला ही सर्व मुलांसाठी एक इन्स्पिरेशन सुद्धा बनली आहे। पण नायलासाठी हा प्रवास सोपा नसता जर तिच्या पालकांचा तिच्या कौशल्यावर आणि मेहनतीवर विश्वास नसता आणि त्यांनी नायलाला तिच्या स्वप्नांचा पाठलाग करण्यास मोटिवेट केलं नसतं। नायलाच्या टॅलेंटला प्रथम तिच्या आईने ओळखलं, ज्याने नायलाला प्रोत्साहन मिळालं आणि वयाच्या 9व्या वर्षी तिला स्मार्टफोन दिला जेणेकरून नायला त्यावर तिच्या डिजिटल कलेचा सराव करू शकेल। खरं तर नायलाला 2 गोष्टींमध्ये खूप जास्त रस आहे। एक म्हणजे ब्रॉन्टोसॉरस आणि दुसरं म्हणजे वुमन। तिला वाटतं की ते दोघेही खूप मजबूत आणि सुंदर आहेत, म्हणूनच नायलाला या दोघांवर आधारित काहीतरी व्हायचं होतं आणि यामधूनच जन्म झाला हा लॉंग नेकीसचा। मग अचानक मार्च 2021 मध्ये नायलाच्या अंकलने NFTचा उल्लेख केला आणि तिला NFT बद्दल समजावूनही सांगितले। साहजिकच अशा परिस्थितीत नायला आणि तिच्या मम्मीला यामध्ये एक मोठी ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी दिसली। त्यांनी YouTube व्हिडिओच्या मदतीनं NFTsवर संपूर्ण संशोधन केलं आणि ते कसे विकत घ्यायचे आणि कसे विकायचे तेही समजून घेतलं। बस मग काय, त्यांनी लॉंग नेकीसची NFT बनवायला सुरुवात केली आणि रेस्ट इज हिस्ट्री। तुम्हाला हे जाणून आश्चर्य वाटेल की नायलाने तिच्या कलेतून आतापर्यंत $7 मिलियन कमवले आहेत। तिच्या आतापर्यंतची सर्वात महागडी कला ही $11,738 मध्ये विकली गेलेली आहे। एवढंच नाही तर नायलाला टाइम्स वुमन ऑफ द इयर सिरीजच्या कव्हर पोर्ट्रेट्स मधून इन्स्पायर्ड आपल्या खास लॉंग नेकीज ऑफ द इयर कलेक्शनसाठी टाइम्स आर्टिस्ट इन रेसिडेन्स नावाचे अवॉर्ड सुद्धा मिळाले। या अवॉर्डची 1991 रेसिपंट अनिता हिल आणि 2006 रेसिपंट एलन जॉन्सनची पोर्ट्रेट सुद्धा नायलाच्या या कलेक्शन मध्ये इन्क्लूड होती। लुसिल बॉल ते मायकल ओबामा पर्यंत नायलाने 3000 ओरिजिनल पोर्ट्रेट्स बनवल्यात, ज्यांनी ती नेहमी इंस्टाग्रामवर शेअर करत असते। नायलाच्या या सक्सेस स्टोरी मधून हे शिकायला मिळते की प्रत्येक पॅरेंटला आपल्या मुलांना कशामध्ये रुची आहे हे ओळखलं पाहिजे, सोबत त्यांच्या टॅलेंटला सुद्धा ओळखता आलं पाहिजे आणि त्यांच्या स्वप्नांना पंख लावले पाहिजेत। मग बघा ती कशी उंच भरारी घेतात। तर मग कशी वाटली आजची स्टोरी? आवडली असेल तर नक्कीच या स्टोरीला लाईक करा आणि शेअर करा आणि हो, कमेंट बॉक्समध्ये तुमच्या प्रतिक्रिया जरूर द्या। अशाच इंटरेस्टिंग इन्स्पायरिंग स्टोरीज घेऊन मी पुन्हा तुमच्या भेटीला येणार आहे। तोपर्यंत मी संदीप कसालकर तुर्तास इथेच थांबतो। पाहत राहा क्रिप्टो टीव्ही।
Hello and welcome to 3.0 TV. This is Manoj Dara. So cryptocurrencies traded higher ahead of the outcome of FOMC meeting of the US Federal Reserve that will begin later on Tuesday. However, market participants are concerned about the further interest rate rise from the US Federal Reserve, which has hit risk assets across the board. So analysts now predict that the Fed would increase the rates by 75 basis points to curb inflation. However, the Fed could announce a 100 basis points increase in the rates as inflation continued to soar. So IC15 index of cryptocurrencies was trading higher by 3% at 27,800 points as investors are focused on the anticipated significant Federal Reserve interest rate hike this week. To combat inflation, Asian shares and stock futures nudged up in the earlier trade. However, following a recovery in the closing hours of the New York trading. So US stock prices, which is reserved as a two-day losing trend, S&P 500 gained by 0.7%, Dow Jones increased by 0.64%, and Nasdaq was trading higher by 0.76%. So Bitcoin, which was trading higher by 3% at $19,313. Bitcoin bounced back from a dramatic sell-off on Monday, but analysts said that the picture for the digital assets is growing gloomier as more volatility is expected in the key decisions from the Federal Reserve on Wednesday. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is in another announcement. Fund which has seen a volume garner lower interest from the institutional investors, a big worry. So fewer larger transactions on the network further points towards a lower activity from the institutional investors and large market participants. If we talk about Ethereum, price which has jumped by 3.5% to trade at $1,316, following which Ethereum has fallen, following the merge, Ethereum has fallen roughly around 15%, while Bitcoin has dropped 3% since the Ethereum network underwent a huge upgrade called the merge. So investors are also wondering whether the regulatory standing of the Ether may change after the merge, after the US Securities and Exchange Commission Mr. Gary Gensler has indicated last week that the cryptocurrency that worked on the proof-of-stake model, which applies to Ethereum, could be classified as a this is actually a concern which is there in the market. Meanwhile, the Ethereum Classic, an older hard fork of Ethereum, saw a massive jump in its hash rate post the merge, and it was trading higher by roughly 3%. So on my left, Binance BNB was up by 3.3% at $270. Next on the list is Polygon Matic, which was up by 0.7% to trade at $0.75. Polygon has even greater plans for the future, with its side chains to desire to become the internet or the blockchains for Ethereum. This should permit the Ethereum ecosystem to develop much faster so that more decentralized applications should also operate on Polygon. The growth is towards a full-fledged multi-chain ecosystem. That's what the management has also indicated. Next on the list is Solana Sol, was higher by 3%, was trading at $32. Cardano's ADA token was trading higher by 1%, which was at $0.44. Avalanche AVAX was trading at $17 flat, which was flat to positive. Doge, the popular meme coin as we say, was trading higher by 2.8% at $0.058. Doge becomes, actually it is in a very interesting development, Doge has become the second largest proof of work blockchain. With Ethereum no longer employing the proof of work protocol, Doge has quickly become the second largest POW blockchain. However, Dogecoin rising to the number 2 spot of the POW blockchain is a real eyebrow raiser for the entire market fraternity. Next on the list is Ripple's XRP token, was trading at $0.38, up by 8%. So in an ongoing development, Ripple has sought to defeat SEC by arguments over the weekend. If we go back on maybe Friday and Saturday, the Ripple filed a motion in federal court in Manhattan asking for the case to be dismissed before trial because there was no investment contract given investor rights or compelling the issuers to act in their best interest. So Ripple has claimed that the XRP could not be classified as a security. An ongoing battle back and forth is happening between them and the authorities. So Shiba Inu is next on the list, was trading up by 0.6%. Next, last on the list is Polkadot, was trading higher by 0.8% at $6. So let's get a technical perspective view from our technical expert Ayushi Verma. Ayushi, welcome on 3.0 TV.
Thank you, Manoj, for inviting me here. So we have got good information from the yesterday's Bitcoin and Ethereum momentum, especially if you talk about the Bitcoin. So yes, the price was trading below the 20,000 mark, but if you look at yesterday's momentum, so we have got a confirmation that there are buyers still, buyers are there, and that's the reason we might be able to see a tug of war between the buyers and sellers. So what we can expect, we can again take up a resistance at 20,000. This can be our resistance, and 17,552 can be taken as the support area. Now there is a probability that, because the buyers are already there, so there is a probability that the price will again hover around at the 20,000 level, maybe for some more time. So that is something, which looks interesting, that at least the Bitcoin is holding up this level. And if you look at the Ethereum, so let us move on to Ethereum. So for the Ethereum, yes, the price is trading down below than the 100 EMA. So we can still see that this is the 100 EMA level. So we can see that yes, unless and until the price trades higher than this, we are very much not very much sure about the uptrend. So yes, what we can see, we can expect that the price will be will trade in a range, and the range will be the resistance. In that case, we can take 1510, and the support we can take is 1215. So these are the two levels, and we are expecting that the price will be there in this area at least for some more time. And similarly, if you look at the IC50 index, since there is a consolidation kind of thing, so yes, the price here is also trading in a range, and for this index we can take 29,557 as the resistance, and the support area will be 25,506. I'm sorry, this will be the support area. So this is let me just draw it again. So this is resistance and this is support level for this IC50 index. So again, the same momentum this indicator will follow. If you see the top 15 cryptocurrencies going in one direction, you will see the same in this particular index.
नमस्कार, मी वैभवी सावंत स्वागत करते तुमचं क्रिप्टो टीव्ही मध्ये. एका सेकंदात ताजमहल तर दुसऱ्या सेकंदात इजिप्तचे पिरॅमिड. तर जगात अगदी कुठेही तुम्हाला जायचं आहे का? आणि तेही काही सेकंदात. अरे मी विनोद नाही करत आहे, कारण मेटावर्स जग आता प्राचीन आणि ऐतिहासिक स्थळांना फ्युचर ऑफ टुरिझम पर्याय म्हणून विचार करत आहे, आणि तेही क्षणभरात. आता ज्यांना हे माहीत नाही की मेटावर्सचे जग काय आहे ते, तर थोडक्यात सांगते की हे एक व्हर्च्युअल वर्ल्ड म्हणजेच आभासी जग आहे, जिथे कोणतीही गोष्ट किंवा कोणताही अवतार AR किंवा VRच्या मदतीने आपल्या मनाप्रमाणे करता येणार आहे, आणि तेही कोणत्याही अडथळ्याशिवाय. मला माहीत आहे तुम्ही नक्की सरप्राईज झाला असाल. तर आता तुम्हाला समजले असेलच की मी कशाबद्दल बोलत आहे. होय, मेटावर्सच्या मदतीने तुम्ही प्राचीन आणि ऐतिहासिक स्थळांच्या रोमांचक जगात सहज प्रवेश करू शकता. तुम्हाला माहीत आहे का ही संकल्पना कोणी अस्तित्वात आणली आहे आणि का आणली आहे ते? तर ही संकल्पना 3.0 लॅब्सचे फाउंडर मिशेल चोई यांनी सुचवली आहे. आणि का? कारण कोविड-19च्या पार्श्वभूमीवर जेव्हा संपूर्ण जग हे अक्षरशः थांबले होते, आणि त्यामुळे याचा परिणाम म्युझियम टुरिझमला झाला होता. चोय गुगल स्लेंडरमधील एक प्रोडक्ट मॅनेजर होते. त्यांनी कोविडमुळे झालेला परिणाम लक्षात घेऊन मेटावर्सला म्युझियम टुरिझमच्या स्वरूपात पाहिलं. तुम्हाला हे जाणून आश्चर्य वाटेल की त्याने आपल्या कल्पनेला एक प्रकारे आकार दिला आणि स्वतःचे मेटावर्स प्रयोग सुरू करण्यासाठी गुगल कंपनीमध्ये असणारी त्यांची नोकरी सुद्धा सोडली. अशा प्रकारे चोयने ऑक्टोबर 2021 मध्ये प्रॅग्यूमधील रिअल लाईफ कॅसल लोपोविट्स पॅलेस मधील वस्तूंना NFTच्या स्वरूपात देऊन त्याचे ऑक्शन केले. या इव्हेंटमध्ये NFTच्या स्वरूपात 500 वर्षापूर्वीची पेंटिंग सुद्धा प्रदर्शित केली आहे. इतकंच नाही तर याच्या माध्यमातून प्रॉपर्टी संबंधित इतर महत्त्वाच्या प्रोजेक्टसाठी अपेक्षापेक्षाही जास्त फंड उभारण्यात आलं होतं. मग काय, चोय आणि 3.0 लॅब्सने प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्टशी मोटिवेटेड मेटावर्स टुरिझम एक्सपिरियन्स जागतिक स्तरावर तयार करण्यास सुरुवात केली. हल्लीच त्यांच्या मेटावर्स व्हर्टिकलमध्ये व्हेंचर लॅबने जर्मनीमध्ये एक कॅसल बांधण्यास सुरुवात केली आहे. त्यानंतर भारतात विला आणि शक्यतो गाण्यामध्ये एक म्युझियम सुद्धा बिल्ड करण्याच्या तयारीत आहे. याविषयी बोलताना चोई म्हणाली की ट्रॅव्हलला टीचिंग टूलच्या रूपाने ऑगमेंटेड केलं जाऊ शकतं. आधी टुरिझम म्हणजे एखाद्या ठिकाणी भेट देणं असं असायचं. फोटोज 2D मध्ये असायचे, पण व्हर्च्युअल हेडसेटच्या माध्यमातून 3D ट्रॅव्हल केलं जाऊ शकतं. पण आता हे तंत्रज्ञान विकसित झाले आहे आणि अशा प्रकारे 4Dच्या प्रयोगाला सुद्धा इम्प्लिमेंट केलं जाऊ शकतं. आता या नवीन पावलामुळे उद्भवलेल्या प्रश्नांच्या सिरीजमधून 2 महत्त्वाचे प्रश्नांवर एक नजर टाकूया. सर्वात पहिलं, इतिहासाला मेटावर्समध्ये पुन्हा लिहिलं जाऊ शकतं का? तर चांगले किंवा वाईट अगदी दोन्ही बाजूमध्ये टुरिझम बिझनेसेस, एज्युकेशन प्लॅटफॉर्म आणि म्युझियम यांच्या माध्यमातून मेटावर्समध्ये इतिहासाची पूर्ण कल्पना केली जाऊ शकते. याचे सर्वात मोठे उदाहरण म्हणजे भारतातील मध्य प्रदेशातील 200 वर्ष जुने जयविलास पॅलेस, जे अलीकडच्या काळात प्रियदर्शनी राजे सिंधिया यांच्या कुटुंबाच्या मालकीचे संग्रहालय आहेत. तर प्रियदर्शनीने म्हटलंय की मी माझ्या कौटुंबिक इतिहासाला घेऊन सहमत नाही आहे. आमच्या राजवाड्यात संशोधनासाठी खूप काही आहे. इतिहास दुरुस्त करण्यासाठी हीच योग्य वेळ आणि योग्य व्यासपीठ आहे. आता तुम्ही विचार करत असाल की 21st सेंचुरीमध्ये नोबल फॅमिलीजला सपोर्ट का लागतो? आता तुम्हाला माहित आहे की प्रॉपर्टी जितकी मोठी तितकी तिची देखभाल करणे अधिक खर्चिक आहे. आणि आता तर आम्ही इथे प्राचीन आणि ऐतिहासिक स्थळांबद्दल बोलत आहोत. अनेक वेळा असे काही ऐतिहासिक ठिकाणे आहेत ज्यांच्या देखभालीसाठी ही ठिकाणे सांभाळणाऱ्या कुटुंबाला मोठ्या प्रमाणात खर्च येत असतो. आणि हीच ती गोष्ट आहे की NFT तयार करण्याबरोबरच मेटावर्सच्या जगात टुरिस्टला चालना देण्याची गरज आहे, जेणेकरून त्यांच्या जवळील किंवा कोणत्याही देश जवळील प्राचीन आणि ऐतिहासिक स्थळेही वाचवता येतील. मित्रांनो, मेटावर्स हे एक अमेझिंग पार्ट ब्रेकिंग टेक्नॉलॉजी आहे, यात काहीच शंका नाही. तर मित्रांनो, मेटावर्सच्या दुनियेतील अशाच प्रकारचे नवीन एपिसोड घेऊन मी वैभवी सावंत पुन्हा तुमच्या भेटीला येणार आहे. तोपर्यंत पाहत रहा क्रिप्टो टीव्ही.
अरे हॅलो, सॉरी, मी जरा गेम खेळत बिझी होतो. पण खरंच काय गेम आहे यार. अमेझिंग ग्राफिक्स, अट्रॅक्टिव्ह फीचर्स आणि सोबत पैसे कमवण्याची संधी सुद्धा. येस, खेळता खेळता कमवा. आणि काय हवं आयुष्यात? अहो, मी गेमिंगचे युनिव्हर्स म्हणजेच मेटावर्स बद्दल बोलतोय, जे सध्या हेडलाईन्स मध्ये आहे. आणि का नाही असणार? जो रेव्हेन्यू सध्याच्या या काळात मेटावर्स क्रिएट करतोय, त्यामुळे अगदी प्रत्येकाचे होश उडालेत. एक तर गेमिंगचे केस आणि त्यावर NFTचे सुपर हिट कलेक्शनचा रेकॉर्ड. हे एक असं खतरनाक कॉम्बिनेशन आहे ज्याला अगदी प्रत्येक जण आजमाव पाहत आहे. नो वंडर 2021 मध्ये NFT गेमिंगने $5.17 बिलियन जनरेट केले आहेत, म्हणजेच 1.75 ट्रिलियन रुपीज. आणि जानेवारी 2022 मध्ये ओव्हर $1 बिलियन रेव्हेन्यू जनरेट झाले आहेत. आणि 2022च्या फर्स्ट क्वार्टरचे फिगर्स अजून येणे बाकी आहेत, जे आय एम शुअर तुम्हाला आणि मला नक्की चकित करणारे असतील. हो, म्हणजे आता ही गोष्ट अरबोपासून खरबोपर्यंत पोहोचली आहे. मित्रांनो, गेमिंग NFT मध्ये भरपूर जास्त स्कोप आहे. या ठिकाणी जास्त पैसे कमवायचे चान्सेस हे खूप जास्त असतात. ब्लॉकचेन गेमिंग हे केवळ झपाट्याने वाढत नाही, तर NFT स्पेसवर सुद्धा राज्य करत आहे. विश्वास वाटत नाहीये का? अहो, मी पूर्ण रिसर्च करून आलोय. बघा, 2022च्या फर्स्ट क्वार्टरच्या रिपोर्टच्या अनुसार NFTची टोटल ट्रेडिंग व्हॉल्यूम ही $12 बिलियन पेक्षाही जास्त झाली आहे. तुम्ही ऐकून हैराण व्हाल की जेवढी खरीखुरी जमीन विकली जात नाही, तर त्याहून कित्येक जास्त पटीनं गेमिंग वर्ल्ड मध्ये व्हर्च्युअल लँड म्हणजेच आभासी जमीन ही विकली जाते. विचार करा, आपण रिअल प्रॉपर्टी विकत घेण्या अगोदर 100 वेळा विचार करत असतो आणि मग लोन घेतो. पण मित्रांनो, लोक व्हर्च्युअल लँड घेतात आणि तेही फुल डाऊन पेमेंटवर. मेटामेट्रिक सोल्युशनच्या रिपोर्टच्या अनुसार 2022 मध्ये व्हर्च्युअल लँडचा सेल हा जवळपास $1 बिलियन पर्यंत पोहोचण्याची शक्यता ही वर्तवली जाते. एवढंच नाही तर ब्लॉकचेन गेमिंग कंपनीच्या इन्व्हेस्टमेंटमध्ये सुद्धा मोठ्या प्रमाणात जम्प झालेलं सुद्धा पाहायला मिळतंय. हाँगकाँग बेस्ड कंपनी अॅनिमोका ब्रँड्सने जानेवारी 2022 मध्ये जवळपास $5 बिलियन रेज केले आहेत. खरंच अमेझिंग ना? एवढंच नाही तर क्रिप्टो किटीज डेव्हलपर डॅपल लॅब्सने आपल्या NBA टॉप शॉटच्या प्रोजेक्ट सोबत एप्रिल 2022 मध्ये जवळपास $305 मिलियन सेल केली आहे. तर दुसरीकडे पोकेमॉन इन्स्पायर्ड NFT बॅटलिंग गेमिंग एक्झी इन्फिनिटीने फेब्रुवारी 2022च्या शेवटपर्यंत ओव्हर $4 बिलियन सोबत सर्वात जास्त NFT सेल्स व्हॉल्यूमचा रेकॉर्ड बनवलाय. स्पष्ट आहे की हे फिगर्स त्याच दिशेने निर्देश करतायत की गेमिंग NFT हे फ्युचर आहे. म्हणजेच एंटरटेनमेंट आणि अर्निंगचे सर्वात कॉम्बिनेशन अजून काय असू शकतं? तर यापुढे जर का तुमचे पॅरेंट्स हे तुम्हाला ब्लॉकचेनवर गेम्स खेळताना तुम्हाला ओरडले, तर त्यांना जरा हे सक्सेस नंबर्स आवर्जून दाखवा. आय एम शुअर त्यानंतर ते नक्कीच बोलतील, अरे अरे खेळ, अजून खेळ, मन लावून खेळ, कारण खेळेगा इंडिया तभी तो बढेगा इंडिया. पण काही कन्क्लूड करण्यापूर्वी मी तुम्हाला एक गोष्ट नक्कीच सांगेन की NFT आणि ब्लॉकचेन गेमिंग क्रिप्टो वर्ल्डचाच भाग आहे, जिथे नेहमी डिजिटल चोरांचा म्हणजेच हॅकर्सचा खतरा हा नेहमी असतो. गेमिंग जायंट एक्झी इन्फिनिटी प्लॅटफॉर्म विषयी जर बोललं तर मार्च 2022च्या शेवटी ऑलमोस्ट एप्रिल फूल डेच्या जवळपास काही हॅकर्सने रॉनिन ब्रिजच्या व्हल्नरॅबिलिटीजचा फायदा घेऊन एक्झी इन्फिनिटी मधून तब्बल $625 मिलियन चोरले होते. म्हणजेच ऑलमोस्ट 4,750 करोड रुपयांची चोरी. परंतु एक्झी इन्फिनिटीचे डेव्हलपर्स काय मॅविस आणि त्यांच्या बायनान्स सारख्या सपोर्टर्सचे पॉकेट्स खूप डीप असल्यामुळे त्यांनी गेमर्सचे चोरी झालेले सर्व पैसे हे रिएम्बर्स करण्याचं प्रॉमिस केलं आहे. तर माझा सल्ला आहे की तुम्ही तुमचे स्वतःचे ब्लॉकचेन तसेच कोणत्याही प्लॅटफॉर्मवर NFT गेमिंग जर्नी सुरू करण्यापूर्वी खात्री करून घ्या की तुम्ही त्या प्लॅटफॉर्मचे व्हाईट पेपर हे आवर्जून वाचताय. मग तुम्हाला कळेल की त्याचे डेव्हलपर्स आणि सपोर्टर्स हे कोण कोण आहेत. सोबत सर्वात महत्त्वाचा पॉइंट की त्यांच्या व्हाईट पेपरमध्ये या क्लॉजची सुद्धा खातरजमा करून घ्या की जर का भविष्यात हॅकिंग वगैरे झालं तर तुमच्या मेहनतीने कमावलेली तुम्ही कॅश ही रिएम्बर्स होईल का. यासोबतच नवीन असणारं सिंगल किंवा लिमिटेड गेम सारख्या गेमिंग प्लॅटफॉर्म पासून सुद्धा दूर राहा आणि त्याची खात्री सुद्धा करून घ्या, कारण आपल्याला माहित नाही की हे प्लॅटफॉर्म लॉंग टर्म सस्टेन करतील की नाही. चांगलं होईल की तुम्ही रोबस्ट इकोसिस्टम सारख्या मोठ्या प्लॅटफॉर्म्स पासून सुरुवात करा. थोडे कमी पैसे कमवा, त्यानंतर हवं तर आपल्या रिस्क प्रमाणे ॲपिटाईट नुसार पुढे जा. सो मित्रांनो, ऑल द बेस्ट. कीप प्लेइंग अँड कीप अर्निंग. अशाच प्रकारचे नवीन नवीन इंटरेस्टिंग स्टोरीज पाहण्यासाठी पाहत राहा क्रिप्टो टीव्ही. मी संदीप कसालकर तुर्तास इथेच थांबतो. धन्यवाद.
Hello everyone, you're watching your favorite series, Tip of the Cryptoberg. I'm Vinita Chatterjee. Today we are going to discuss the real life use cases of smart contracts. How does smart contract benefit you or me or any of our friends or family members? Let's find out in today's episode. But first, let's find out what are smart contracts. Well, in our day-to-day lives, we all need some sort of a contract to make sure that our promises are kept intact. But what if I tell you that there is a concept called smart contract? Smart contracts can be defined as a paperless digital code that offers a set of promises on predefined conditions that the two different parties have agreed to. In simple words, the parties can set a condition that can start an action or a series of actions when met. Smart contracts actually have the potential to make our world more democratic. Yes, you heard me. In fact, the whole concept of smart contract applications has unquestionably revolutionized the way we live our lives. Experts believe that smart contracts would be around long after everyone has forgotten about some of the leading crypto coins. Smart contracts use the blockchain technology to facilitate the exchange of money, property, information, or anything that people deem appropriate to initiate a smart contract for. The beauty of decentralized nature of blockchain technology is based on peer-to-peer transactions. That means that these smart contracts don't require anything in the way of a middleman. Traditionally, individuals or institutions such as banks and solicitors were required to facilitate legally binding contracts. We all know that, right? But now, let's see what change the smart contracts implement in our lives. Smart contracts allow individuals to bypass this costly and often slow middlemen and agree on the contract directly. Well, doesn't that make you feel that smart contracts are going to simplify all of our lives? It truly does. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the top 10 real-life use cases of smart contracts. Let's find out. Number 1. Trade finance. Trade finance stands to benefit immensely from the introduction of smart contracts. Recently, Santander Innoventures said that it believes that blockchain technology will lead to more than $20 billion worth of savings per year by the year 2022. A huge amount of these savings will come from smart contracts, automating approval workflows and clearing calculations that at the present time are incredibly labor intensive. Not only will this automation help to reduce work hours, but it will also dramatically reduce errors and the time taken for these calculations to take place. Records. Our next use case of smart contracts are in keeping records. Nearly every foreseeable industry in the world will be able to use smart contracts to help improve the speed and security of its record keeping. One industry in particular that stands to benefit enormously is the healthcare industry. Currently, the world's healthcare computer systems hold hundreds of millions of patient medical records. Despite the fact that these healthcare organizations have invested huge sums of money on security, still, the current access and storage methods are far more vulnerable to cyber attacks compared to the blockchain-based technology. Blockchain technology could allow the entire databases of personal health records to be kept secure. An added bonus is that the technology also facilitates the use of private key. That means only certain individuals can gain access. Some of the other blockchain smart contract use cases include their use in issuing prescriptions, storing receipts, general stock management, storing test results, and so on. Property ownership. Smart contracts have two huge uses when it comes to the property market. First, they can be used to record property ownership. Since the use of smart contracts is faster and more cost efficient, this makes them a much better alternative to existing systems. It also means that they can be used to record the ownership of all types of property from buildings, lands, to phones and watches. Number 2, elimination of any kind of middleman. Within the housing market, smart contracts can remove the need for expensive services such as those provided by lawyers and housing brokers. This new technology also means that for the very first time, sellers have the ability to handle transactions completely by themselves without the need of any middlemen. Mortgages. The property market also stands to benefit from cheaper, faster and more secure smart contract-based mortgage transactions. Not only will this allow buyers to get into the property quicker, but it will also help to make the entire process a little less of a headache. Smart contract mortgages would allow both the parties to digitally agree to the sale before processing the payment. Once this is done, the contract would update the property ownership details to reflect the change of ownership. Since the process would require unique key code authorization on behalf of the original owner, it will make the whole process more secure and reduce instances of fraud. Insurance. The next sector that stands to benefit from smart contracts is the insurance sector. The insurance industry spends tens of millions of dollars each year on processing claims. Not only that, it actually loses millions of dollars to fraudulent claims as well. Aside from supporting the initial insurance policy, smart contracts could also help to improve the process of claim processing in many ways. They could allow error checks and determine payout amounts based on the set of criteria that takes into account the kind of policy that was held by the individual or the organization. Once again, reduced processing times, a dramatic reduction in errors, and cheaper costs are among the main benefits of smart contracts. In longer term, smart contracts could be used in tandem with Internet of Things enabled vehicles to allow for the pay-as-you-go insurance policies and the immediate activation of claims after an accident. Information such as driver licenses, driving records, accident reports, and policy details could be immediately processed to facilitate speedy payouts that would benefit both the parties. Medical research. The medical research industry will benefit from similar advantages as the healthcare industry. First of all, highly sensitive data such as patients' records could be transferred between departments, research centers, after having been securely encrypted via blockchain technology. Since many of the patients participating in medical research have sensitive medical conditions, that they often wish to remain private. Keeping these records secure is very, very essential. Likewise, medical research companies have enormous amount of data which includes test results and new drug formulas that they need to keep safe. This could be secured with the use of smart contracts, should they need to divulge any of this information to a third party for any reason. Voting. Well, smart contracts can be the smart formula that can be used for elections. Allegations of fraudulent activities have occurred in many elections of the past. Despite using computer systems that in some cases cost millions of dollars, fraudsters find increasingly imaginative ways to manipulate them. Well, here comes smart contract as a smart savior. Smart contracts are a simple and cost-effective solution to this problem. They can be used to validate a voter's identity and record their vote. This information could then be used to initiate an action after all voting had ceased. Since the blocks within a blockchain are impossible to alter once they have been recorded, manipulation of this record would be very, very difficult. Peer-to-peer transactions. Smart contracts can be used for a whole range of peer-to-peer transactions. This reasoning is what led to the creation of the Ethereum project and other such companies. Users of all shapes and sizes could use these platforms to create and agree on smart contracts. These contracts then remain active until a set of agreed conditions are met. Once the smart contract is happy that all the conditions have been met, it then allows the remaining portion of the agreement to be fulfilled. Typically, this is the transfer of money, but this isn't always the case. So far, smart contracts have been used for everything from launching ICOs to selling goods on the internet. Various companies are also using smart contracts to secure services of development teams and other outsourced companies. The possibilities of peer-to-peer smart contracts are literally endless. Theoretically, this could replace many of the existing roles that are currently fulfilled by currency. Product development. Another exciting use of smart contracts is to keep a ledger regarding the stages of development of a product. A huge part of the appeal of smart contracts is their ability to keep information secure and to prove its origins. A company that has invested huge amounts of money into developing a project obviously doesn't wish for the information to be stolen. Generally, the only route to justice when information is stolen is a lengthy court process, something which most companies don't have time and money to go through. Now, when it comes to intellectual property such as ideas, you don't need to look as far as the never-ending patent claims between Apple and Samsung just to see how important being able to prove ownership really can be. The list of industries that could benefit from this new technology is huge, given the fact that smart contracts support and secure product development. The kind of industries involved could range from a small startup to a large tech company such as Microsoft or Amazon. Stock taking. Supply chains are another area of business that can benefit from blockchain-based smart contracts. Internet of Things devices could be used throughout the supply chain to record each step a product takes. Smart contract supply chains could theoretically, virtually eliminate in-house theft, as managers would be able to trace a missing product back to the exact time and place that it went missing. On huge supply chains, such as those found in large warehouses, these smart contracts would enable managers to see real-time stock levels and the time it takes for a product to move through the supply chain. Managers could use this data to adjust stock levels and develop new working practices to improve delivery times. For supply chains that operate in several different locations or companies, smart contracts could do all of the above and even initiate automating reorders and payments for order already received. Such information as contained in these contracts could also be used to help with determining up and coming busy periods and even which products to stock at different times of the year. So we see smart contracts are the most exciting thing to have come from the blockchain technology so far. Smart contracts really do have the power to take our lives out of the hands of institutions such as banks. Since we can use smart contracts to exchange something as simple as labor or more complex things such as loans, they will gain in popularity and the number of these services will grow exponentially. The technological advantages of smart contracts will help to speed up transaction times, lower costs, and even make processes much easier and stress-free. And when smart technology is present in the cars we drive, things we use, and help determine the choices that we make, the world could be a much more secure and a happy place to live. For all this interesting content from around the world of digital currencies and blockchain technology, keep watching your favorite channel, Crypto TV. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Vinita Chatterjee, signing off.
चलिए आज ये जानने की कोशिश करते हैं कि आखिर ये व्हाइट पेपर है क्या भला। दरअसल व्हाइट पेपर किसी भी क्रिप्टो प्रोजेक्ट की एक समरी होती है। व्हाइट पेपर कितनी तरह के होते हैं और उनका सिग्निफिकेंस क्या होता है। व्हाइट पेपर अपने नाम की तरह सिर्फ व्हाइट नहीं होते, बल्कि कई अलग अलग कलर्स में आते हैं व्हाइट पेपर।
રઈસમાં શાહરુખ ખાનનો ડાયલોગ છે ને, અંબીજાન કહેતી હતી કે કોઈ ધંધો નાનો નથી હોતો અને ધંધાથી મોટો કોઈ ધર્મ નથી હોતો. મને લાગે છે અમુક લોકોએ આ ડાયલોગ દિલ ઉપર લઈ લીધું છે અને ક્રેઝી આઈડિયાઝ વાલી NFT નો ધંધો ચાલુ કરી દીધું છે. હેલો, કેમ છો? મજામાં? વેલકમ ટુ ક્રિપ્ટો ટીવી. હું છું તમારી હોસ્ટ અને દોસ્ત પાર્વતી નિર્વાણ AKA પારો દેવા. અને આજે આપણે વિચિત્ર, અદ્ભુત, ઉટપટાંગ અને એબ્સોલ્યુટલી વિયર્ડ અને ક્રેઝી NFTs એટલે કે એવા નોન ફંજીબલ ટોકન્સ વિશે વાત કરશું જેને સાંભળવાથી તમે હસી હસીને લોટપોટ પણ થઈ જશો અને એકવાર જરૂર વિચારશો કે બોસ, આવી ક્રેઝી NFT જો માર્કેટમાં વેચાઈ જતી હોય તો હું પણ આવી એક NFT ક્રિએટ કેમ ના કરું. સો મારી ટોપ 3 ક્રેઝી NFT લિસ્ટમાં નંબર 1 છે ડિજિટલ ટોયલેટ પેપર રોલ NFT. યસ, તમે બરાબર સાંભળ્યું. ટોયલેટ પેપર રોલની NFT માર્કેટમાં આવી ગઈ છે. એ જે ટોયલેટ પેપર જેના માટે ડ્યુરિંગ લોકડાઉન ફોરેનની લેડીઝ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટલ સ્ટોરમાં WWFની ફાઇટર્સની જેમ ઝઘડી પડી હતી. એનીવેઝ, તમે આજ દિવસ સુધીમાં કેટલું કોસ્ટલી ટોયલેટ પેપર લીધું હશે? 100, 200, 500, રાઈટ? પણ હું તમને એમ કહું કે આવા લોકો પણ છે દુનિયામાં જેને $4,100ની એક ટોયલેટ પેપર રોલની NFT ખરીદી છે. તો મગજ ફરી ગયો ને? ફરી જાય યાર. કોઈ 3,15,000 રૂપિયાની ટોયલેટ પેપર રોલની NFT માં નાખતા હોય? આટલી કિંમતમાં તો સોનાના ટોયલેટ પેપર પણ બની જાય, રાઈટ? એનીવેઝ, આવી વિચિત્ર NFT USAની એક ટોયલેટ પેપર મેન્યુફેક્ચરિંગ કંપની 4મીને માર્ચ 2021માં બનાવી છે. આ ટોયલેટ પેપર રોલ NFTની ખાસ વાત એ છે કે એની ઉપર ફ્લાવર્સ એટલે કે કૂલ બનાવવામાં આવીએ છીએ. NFT એટલે કે ડિજિટલ વસ્તુ. તેમાં શું ખુશ્બુ અને શું અહેસાસ, બધું ઇમેજિન આપણે જ કરવાનું ને ઉપરથી 3,15,000 દેવાના. આવી ડીલમાં આપણે ગુજરાતીઓ ક્યારે ના પડે. પણ છે અમુક બુરિયા જેને આવી NFT ખરીદી છે, પણ આની પાછળ એક નોબલ રીઝન પણ છે. ચાર્મિન કંપની ઈચ NFTની સેલમાંથી ફક્ત 0.1% પ્રોફિટ જ પોતાની પાસ રાખે છે અને બાકી 99.99% ઓફ પ્રોફિટ ડાયરેક્ટ રિલીફ નામની હ્યુમેનિટેરિયન ચેરિટી ઓર્ગેનાઇઝેશનને ડોનેટ કરી દે છે. એન્ડ રિઝલ્ટ તો સારું છે, પણ બોસ ચેરિટી કરવાનો આ જરા અતરંગી રસ્તો છે નહીં? તો આ કંઈ નથી. નેક્સ્ટ વિયર્ડ NFT નો ક્રિએટર તો કંઈ અલગ જ લેવલનો છે. આ NFT નું નામ છે સ્લોમ્સ, કાર ડેટોનેટેડ લેમ્બોર્ગિની હરિકેન NFT. આ NFT વિશે સાંભળીને તો કાર સ્ટન્ટ્સના માસ્ટર એવા ઇન્ડિયન ફિલ્મ ડાયરેક્ટર મિસ્ટર રોહિત શેટ્ટીને પણ પસીનો આવી જશે. સ્લોમ્સ નામની એક NFT આર્ટિસ્ટે ક્રિપ્ટો કલ્ચરમાં ગ્રીડ એટલે કે લાલચના અગેન્સ્ટમાં પ્રોટેસ્ટ કરવા અતરંગી NFT બનાવવાનો ખુરાફાતી આઈડિયા અપનાવ્યો. તેમને $2 થી $3 લાખ એટલે કે અંદાજે 1.5 થી $2.25 કરોડ રૂપિયાની લેમ્બોર્ગિની હરિકેન કારને સેકન્ડ હેન્ડ મેં ખરીદી. પછી 100 લોકોની મદદથી તે કારને એક્સપ્લોસિવ્સ એટલે કે બારૂદ ગોલા સાથે ફિટ કરી અને અમેરિકાના એક અનડિસ્ક્લોઝ ડેઝર્ટ લોકેશનમાં 2 ફેબ્રુઆરી 2022ના દિવસે બ્લાસ્ટ કરી અને તેનું એક વિડીયો બનાવ્યો. એક્ઝેક્ટલી ક્રેઝી રાઈટ? આ બ્લાસ્ટનો ધુવાડો એ પણ કરોડોનો હશે. તમને થશે કે આને લાખના 12,000 કર્યા, પણ નહીં. આ આર્ટિસ્ટનો આઈડિયા વેસ્ટમાંથી બેસ્ટ એટલે કે બ્લાસ્ટ થયેલા ભંગારમાંથી કરોડો રૂપિયા કમાવાનો છે. સ્લોમ્સ આ બ્લાસ્ટ થયેલા લેમ્બોર્ગિનીના 999 એટલે કે 999 પીસીસની NFTને તેના બ્લાસ્ટ કરેલા વિડીયો સાથે સેલ કરીને ઓવર $1 મિલિયન એટલે કે 7,65 લાખ રૂપિયા કમાશે. થયો ને અતરંગી પણ ફાયદાનો સોદો? તમે ક્યાંક આ જોઈને પોતાની નવી કાર બ્લાઝ નહીં કરતા. આવો એક્સેપ્શન દુનિયામાં એક જ થાય. આપણે કરવા જશું ને તો કાર અને પૈસા બોથ વેસ્ટ અને પોલીસ ઉપાડીને લઈ જાય એ અલગ પ્રોબ્લેમ. સો નેવર ટ્રાય ધીસ એટ હોમ ઓર એનીવેર એલ્સ. ઓકે. થર્ડ ક્રેઝી અને વિયર્ડ NFT નું નામ છે સેલ યોર સોલ NFT. યસ, દેટ્સ વાય આઈ કોલ્ડ ઇટ વિયર્ડ. રિસેન્ટલી 21 વર્ષના સ્ટીજન વાનશેક નામના ડચ સ્ટુડન્ટને NFT નો ક્રેઝ એટલો ચડ્યો કે એ ભાઈ પોલિગોન ઉપર પોતાની સોલ એટલે કે આત્માની NFT મિન્ટ કરી નાખી અને વર્લ્ડના બિગેસ્ટ NFT માર્કેટ પ્લેસ OpenSea ઉપર પોતાના સોલની NFT લિસ્ટ પણ કરી દીધી. તમને જાણીને આશ્ચર્ય થશે કે એક બાયરે આ ભાઈની સોલને €300 એટલે કે અંદાજન 25,000 રૂપિયામાં ખરીદી પણ લીધી છે. ડચ સ્ટુડન્ટની સોલે વર્લ્ડની ફર્સ્ટ હ્યુમન સોલ છે જેને એઝ અ NFT સેલ કરવામાં આવી છે. એટલે જ તો એક રિસેન્ટ ઇન્ટરવ્યુમાં મિસ્ટર સ્ટીજન વાનશેકે કહ્યું કે હવે તેની સોલની માર્કેટ વેલ્યુ ક્લોઝ ટુ $3.5 મિલિયન એટલે કે 27 કરોડ રૂપિયા થઈ ગયા છે. હવે આ ભાઈને પોતાની સોલની આવી ક્રેઝી વેલ્યુએશન ઉપર કઈ રીતે આવ્યું એ જવાબ કોઈને પાસે નથી. એનીવેઝ, આ NFT સાથે ડચ સ્ટુડન્ટે સેલ ઓફ સોલ અગ્રીમેન્ટ પણ અટેચ કર્યો છે, જેમાં ઓનર આ સોલને કઈ રીતે યુઝ કરી શકે, રીસેલ કરી શકે અથવા તો કોઈ ડેટીને સેક્રિફાઈસ એટલે કે બલિ પણ ચઢાવી શકે કે નહીં, આવી બધી ડિટેલ્સ તેમાં લખી છે. જો તમારે સેલ ઓફ સોલ્ડ અગ્રીમેન્ટની ડિટેલ વાંચવી હોય તો તેની લિંક નીચે ડિસ્ક્રિપ્શનમાં આપી છે. કરો તમે તમારા ટાઈમ પાસ. વેલ, આજના વિયર્ડ અને ક્રેઝી એનએફટીના એપિસોડને અહીંયા જ બ્રેક મારીએ. પણ એક વાત તો શ્યોર છે બોસ, સક્સેસનો પેડો ખાવા માટે દુનિયા માટે થોડું એડું બનવું પડે તો એમાં કોઈ વાંધો નહીં. એલોન મસ્કને બધા ક્રેઝી જ કહેતા હતા જ્યારે તેને ઇલેક્ટ્રિક કાર અને રીયુઝેબલ રોકેટના કોન્સેપ્ટ્સને દુનિયા સામે પહેલીવાર મૂક્યા હતા. આજે એ વર્લ્ડનો રિચેસ્ટ મેન છે. સો સ્ટે હંગ્રી એન્ડ સ્ટે લિટલ ક્રેઝી ફોર સક્સેસ. અને આ મંત્ર સાથે હું તમારી ક્રિપ્ટો હોસ્ટ અને દોસ્ત પાર્વતી નિર્માણ AKA પારો તમારી રજા લઉં છું. આવી વિયર્ડ, એક્સાઇટિંગ અને ક્રેઝી સ્ટોરી સાથે આપણે ફરી મળશું. ત્યાં સુધી ટાટા, બાય બાય, સાયોનારા અને આવજો. મસ્ત રહો અને જોતા રહો ક્રિપ્ટો ટીવી.
मी वैभवी सावंत स्वागत करते तुमचं क्रिप्टो टीव्ही मध्ये. क्रिप्टो ॲसेट नेमकं काय आहे? आपण जर पाहिलात तर सर्वांचे वेगवेगळे छंद असतात, तर काही लोकांना वेगवेगळे गोष्टींमध्ये इंटरेस्ट असतो. पण एक अशी वस्तू आहे जी आपल्या सर्वांना आपल्या बोटांवर नाचवत असते आणि ज्यामध्ये सर्वांचा एकसारखा इंटरेस्ट आहे, आणि तो आहे फक्त पैसा आणि पैसाच. म्हणून म्हणतात ना बाप बडा ना भैया, सबसे बडा रुपया. एनिवेज, आपण हे नोटीस केलंच असेल की हल्ली अगदी प्रत्येक ठिकाणी फक्त क्रिप्टोकरन्सीची चर्चा आहे. अगदी प्रत्येकाला त्याविषयी जाणून घ्यायचं आहे, त्यामध्ये इन्व्हेस्ट सुद्धा करायचं आहे. परंतु कोणीही दिलेल्या सल्ल्यानुसार क्रिप्टोमध्ये इन्व्हेस्ट न करता तुम्ही स्वतः अगोदर क्रिप्टोविषयी अगदी बारकाईने अभ्यास करा आणि त्यानंतरच नीट विचार करून क्रिप्टोमध्ये इन्व्हेस्ट करा. त्यासाठीच आम्ही कोणत्या ना कोणत्या विषयावर तुमचे नॉलेज वाढवण्याचा प्रयत्न करत असतो आणि त्यासाठीच आज आम्ही क्रिप्टो ॲसेट या विषयाबद्दल आपल्याला डिटेल्समध्ये माहिती देणार आहोत. चला तर मग स्टार्ट करूया. तुम्हाला माहित आहे का की क्रिप्टो ॲसेट म्हणजे नेमकं काय? नाही? नो प्रॉब्लेम. मागील 5 वर्षांमध्ये इंडियन क्रिप्टो ॲसेट इंडस्ट्रीने आश्चर्यजनक प्रगती केली आहे. इंडियामध्ये सध्या 15 मिलियन क्रिप्टो ॲसेट होल्डर्स आहेत आणि त्यांच्या ॲसेट होल्डिंगमध्ये अंदाजे 6.6 मिलियन रुपीज आहेत. तुम्हाला हे जाणून आश्चर्य वाटेल की या काही वर्षांमध्ये भारतात आता 2 क्रिप्टो युनिकॉर्न्स आहेत. अहो, ते युनिकॉर्न्स नाही, म्हणजे क्रिप्टोच्या जायंट कंपनीज जे व्हेंचर कॅपिटलिस्टच्या नुसार $1 बिलियन पेक्षा जास्तची व्हॅल्यू ठेवते. एवढंच नाही तर भारतामध्ये 350 क्रिप्टो स्टार्टअप सुद्धा आहेत, ज्याचा सरळ अर्थ असा आहे की क्रिप्टो ग्लोबलीच नाही तर भारतात सुद्धा धूम करतो आहे. ग्रेट ना? तर आपण बोलत होतो क्रिप्टो ॲसेट विषयी. क्रिप्टो ॲसेटला जर आपल्या साध्या सोप्या भाषेत समजवायचं असेल तर क्रिप्टो ॲसेट ते डिजिटल ॲसेट असतात जे ब्लॉकचेन टेक्नॉलॉजीच्या किंवा क्रिप्टोग्राफीचा वापर करतात. क्रिप्टो ॲसेटला अजून चांगल्या पद्धतीनं जाणून घ्यायचं असेल तर आपल्याला क्रिप्टो ॲसेटचे वेगवेगळे टाइप्स जाणून घ्यावे लागतील. तर क्रिप्टो ॲसेटचे 6 टाइप्स आहेत. पहिले म्हणजे स्टेबल कॉइन, दुसरे CBDC, तिसरे प्रायव्हसी कॉइन्स, चौथे म्हणजे गव्हर्नन्स टोकन्स, पाचवे युटिलिटी टोकन्स आणि सहावे म्हणजेच नॉन फंजिबल टोकन्स. स्टेबल कॉइन अशी डिजिटल करन्सी असते जे फिएट करन्सी जसे की डॉलर इत्यादी किंवा कोणत्याही अंडरलाईंग ॲसेट सारखी जसे की गोल्ड वगैरे याप्रमाणे असते. फॉर एक्झाम्पल एक एक्स डिजिटल करन्सी आहे आणि डॉलर्सने समर्थित आहे. म्हणजे जसजसे डॉलरची व्हॅल्यू वाढणार तसतसे या एक्स स्टेबल कॉइनची व्हॅल्यू सुद्धा वाढणार किंवा कमी होणार. CBDC म्हणजेच सेंट्रल बँक डिजिटल करन्सी. ज्याप्रमाणे याच्या नावातच त्याचा अर्थ लपला आहे, ही सेंट्रल बँकची डिजिटल करन्सी आहे. CBDC हे कोणत्याही देशाच्या ऑफिशियल करन्सीचा डिजिटल टोकन असतो. नॉन फंजिबल टोकन्स. नॉन फंजिबल टोकन्स हे कोणत्याही प्रकाराचे युनिक आर्ट असू शकतात. उदाहरणार्थ कोणत्याही फोटोज, पेंटिंग्स, ऑडिओ, कोणते ॲनिमेशन, गेम एक्सेट्रा ज्याला बाय किंवा सेल करता येऊ शकते. परंतु येथे ट्रान्झॅक्शन हे कोणत्या ना कोणत्या तरी क्रिप्टो करन्सीमध्ये होते. आतापर्यंत आपल्याला समजलं असेल की क्रिप्टो ॲसेट नेमकं काय आहे. आता याचे फायदे काय आहेत हे आपण जाणून घेणार आहोत. क्रिप्टो ॲसेट हे डबल स्पेंडिंगच्या प्रॉब्लेम्सला सॉल्व्ह करतं. असे प्रॉब्लेम्स नेहमी अनएन्क्रिप्टेड डिजिटल ॲसेट म्हणजेच डिजिटल मनी पासून क्रिएट होत असतात. कारण डिजिटल मनी सोबत फॉल्स ट्रान्झॅक्शन्स आणि रेकॉर्ड्स बनवणं अगदी सोपं आहे. कारण हे इझिली रेप्लिकेबल आहे आणि ह्याची हिस्ट्री ऑफ ओरिजिनला ट्रॅक करणं हे खूप कठीण आहे. तर दुसरीकडे क्रिप्टो ॲसेटचे सर्व ट्रान्झॅक्शनचे रेकॉर्ड्स हे ब्लॉकचेनवर अपडेट आणि व्हेरीफाय होत असतात. कारण ब्लॉकचेन एक डिस्ट्रीब्युटेड लेजर आहे. म्हणून या डिजिटल ॲसेटला अगदी प्रत्येक जण ट्रॅक करू शकतात. मला विश्वास आहे की क्रिप्टो ॲसेटला घेऊन आपले सारे डाऊट्स क्लिअर झाले असतील. आपल्या नेक्स्ट सेगमेंटमध्ये मी आपल्याला सांगणार आहे क्रिप्टो ॲसेट मार्केटमध्ये कोण कोण ॲक्टर्स आहेत आणि क्रिप्टो ॲसेट ट्रान्झॅक्शनमध्ये पार्टिसिपेट कोण कोण आहेत. तुर्तास मी वैभवी सावंत इथेच थांबते. पाहत रहा क्रिप्टो TV.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all the viewers of Crypto TV. This is Manoj Dhara. So in today's episode of Digitally Unplugged, we will explain the common questions and myths of crypto investors as far as taxation is concerned. So a report on crypto trading in India based on a survey conducted by the crypto exchange WazirX found that 1% tax deducted at source on every crypto transactions had deterred the majority of investors from trading in the digital assets. So to explain the entire episode of taxation, we have invited two special guests. Our first guest is Mr. Raj Kapoor, founder, India Blockchain Alliance. Sir, welcome on Crypto TV.
Thank you. Always happy to be here.
And our second guest is Mr. Indy Sarkar, co-founder, TaxCrypt. Indy sir, welcome on Crypto TV.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Happy to be here.
All right. So, Indy sir, we'll begin with you. My first question to you is, what is the current tax situation as of now? And there is actually, we have been reading out in newspapers and reports that because of the higher tax structure, there is a shift in volume that is happening. So, what is, according to you, the current situation as far as India is concerned?
Well, first of all, in February, in the budget recently by the Union Government of India, they announced the fact that there'll be taxation on crypto assets and crypto trading. And what they introduced at that point was a flat 30% tax on all crypto gains. from 1st of April, and also the application of TDS on all crypto transactions from the 1st of July. So to some extent, it did rattle the markets. It did rattle the crypto ecosystem because this is something quite new. And taxation was always seen as something outside of the crypto universe applying to other financial assets. So by definition, it has created an element of uncertainty. Lots of questions were raised. And at the same time, I think it's, as with any fledgling industry or ecosystem, these are all bumps along the way that the industry has to handle. And taxation is the reality of any investment market. And to that extent, it's perhaps here to stay, but it might evolve over the next few years.
All right, sir. Raj, sir, your opening remarks on that, few keywords which I've picked from what Indy sir has mentioned in his opening remark is, there is taxation, although taxation has been announced, there is a uncertainty and market is not taking it in a positive manner. So what is your take on that, sir?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Wherever there is uncertainty, there is a market reaction. And in this case, it's been a very adverse reaction. WazirX says 50% of them are concerned. I say more than 90% are really concerned. I mean, that's of course a very small sample they would have taken, I'm sure. But I think 90% of us are very unclear. There is a lot of information asymmetry, everybody giving a lot of their own options and their own points of view. But I think what is really required is a very structured approach, and an approach where the common man, the retail investor, understands it very, very in simple layman terms. Let's not complicate the matter. Taxes are important, yes. However, clarity around them is even more important. The major concern, I think, still with a lot of people is because it cannot be offset against any other profits, etc. And that is causing ambiguity. Also, are the NFTs going to be taxed? Are other assets going to be taxed? Lots and lots of such questions are in this industry, and we need to address them. And we need professionals who are focused in this space to that. And I think Indy is doing a great job there.
All right. So from this opening remarks from both the gentlemen, so what we have understood is there is a sense of ambiguity and there is a bit of confusion going on in the market. So let's discuss about this in detail and make our viewers aware of what are the current situation as far as taxation is concerned in India. So Indy sir, my next question to you is, investors are confused if they need to file taxes on crypto for financial year ending 31st March, that is 2022. So given the tax policy has only come this year, so what is your view and what kind of situation on ground level is there? If you can just explain this for our viewers, sir.
This is a really important question, Manoj. A lot of people are under the belief system that the taxation rules merely apply from the 1st of April 2022. But in fact, the government wants crypto investors to file taxes for the previous financial year, which is for 31st March 2022, on the basis of prevailing tax norms. And many crypto investors that are getting prudent advice are filing on the basis of normal financial assets, based taxation. In other words, short-term and long-term gains. And to that extent, they're trying to ensure that there's no questions raised later or penalties applied later on. So if you're a crypto investor, and I've had a trading history over the financial year March 2022, you're prudent to file and disclose your crypto activity and file taxes on the basis of short-term and long-term gains.
So all right, so what's your view on this, sir? What is happening on ground reality, since you are associated with many projects and you work with a lot of blockchain projects, a lot of NFT projects as well. What is the sense you are getting from the market, Raj sir?
Yeah, what I'm getting from the market is, do we really need to be in India when all the taxation is unclear, where there is such a lot of ambiguity, there is opacity, there is no clarity? Do we need to be in India? And unfortunately, the answer I'm getting from most of them are, I think we'll have our compliance and jurisdiction shifted outside India. I see that as an exodus of talent. I see that as an exodus of funds going out of the country. I see that as a lot of taxes which we could have collected nicely, maybe if we had just structured it a little better. It's all going out. The industry is not happy. Technology takes a beating. And as an industry voice, I can say one thing. unanimously all my partners, my alliances, all the companies we work with all have one thing in common. The ambiguity is not good for the development of not only the technology, but for our economy as well. I see that. I'm seeing this as a brain drain 2.0. A lot of our companies are going to go outside and settle down. Not the best thing for India.
So, Indy sir, that's a big statement coming from Mr. Raj Kapoor. He said that. So there is a bit of ambiguity as far as all his projects is concerned, and the entire ecosystem is asking for one thing, that is clarity. So, what kind of transactions are taxable? Since you mentioned about the short-term and the long-term gains which are made, so if you can just simplify this process for our viewers, how this entire situation looks like.
Got it. First of all, the government policy on crypto taxation is at a very, very early stage. So one has to understand that perhaps the government policy on virtual digital assets, which includes cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and others, and therefore the VDA policy and conversation around that is significantly important. Lots of activity, I'm told, is taking place in that space. But going forward from 1st of April, what has essentially been read by the crypto investor community as a disincentive to the crypto industry is the fact that the 30% flat rule for taxation, without providing the necessary clarity around how it's actually going to be applied, has clearly caused some uncertainty. But the 30% tax rule applies to all crypto gains, and there is no ability to offset losses against these gains, which is unlike what you have in the other financial asset space. Now, what is also unclear, and I think that this is something that investors need to realize, is that there is also this myth that you only pay your taxes when you convert your cryptocurrency holdings to fiat currency or real money. In other words, you're converting it to INR in a normal bank account. That's also a flawed understanding of crypto taxation. Your taxes are due the minute you are trading crypto assets, either staying within Bitcoins and you've got gains in it, or converting one crypto asset to another crypto asset. These are all taxable events. And there are complexities around it. Not only is there complexity around the gains and capturing the 30%, but also now you have TDS. So you have to basically account for TDS.
All right. So Raj sir, very quickly, you want to add anything to it?
Oh, well, I would say, if I was to recommend something, I think you should cut the TDS down to 0.01%, instead of 1.0%. That would what I would suggest. That would be it'll have much more.
But how will it make a difference? Because since it's 1% and volumes are down roughly around 90% on all the exchanges. Yeah. So what difference is going to make as far as TDS 1%? Is it customers are going to pay or the exchanges are going to bear this?
See, if you reduce if 30% is already quite on the higher side, that's for sure. If you add another 1% on that, is obviously a lot of people will say the volumes will go down because a lot of people will say, I don't need to trade so many times.
All right. So, Indy sir, how is crypto taxation different? Since you have mentioned in details, so how is crypto tax different and complex when you compare it with the traditional tax structure in India? If you can just explain that, sir.
The complexities are at quite a few levels. So one of the complexities is you could be trading Bitcoins and just locking gains on Bitcoins. That's a simple aspect of it. You could be also, selling your Bitcoins or trading your Bitcoin for a portion of it to buy Ethereum. So all of these are partial or rather, fungible transactions. And at every point, you could have multiple trades happening where the concept of first in, first out could apply to your holdings for tax purposes. So generally speaking, crypto investors are undertaking a lot of transactions. This is a very volatile market. So transactions tend to be quite aggressive in terms of frequency of trading. And therefore, every event of trade is a point of reference for taxation. Right. So you have to be able to capture these elements. And, in the absence of technology and in the absence of a smart solution, this is what's caused a great deal of anguish to a crypto investor that's not necessarily fully aware of the tax implications.
So great deal of anguish. That's a word coming in from Andy sir. It's a big statement, sir. So since you mentioned about a lot of companies that are moving away from India outside, so my next question to Raj sir is, in addition to around 24% of the respondents are contemplating shifting their traditional activities to international exchanges. That's what you have been already mentioned in this interaction as well. So owing to the higher taxation, that's the conclusion which we have drawn. The only country emerging as a big benefit from this shift is Dubai, Singapore, and United States of America. So we have been to Miami to cover the Bitcoin 2022 conference. So there was a lot of optimism around, when we had been there. So what's your take on that, sir?
Optimism, when things are going good, then everybody's an optimist. And when things are going down, everybody's a naysayer. I think that's a wrong way of looking at approaching things. I think we should take the up and down all in our stride. That's one part. I think crypto is just one part of a bigger picture, that is blockchain. Blockchain is the ultimate winner out here. Crypto is a great use case, yes. And I think it's just a question of time before there is some sort of a bounce back. But I think I have a little question here, actually, and that is for India, actually. Sorry to digress a little, but it's still in my mind, and I wanted to speak it out today. Manoj, with your permission, I will ask.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
So one of the questions, like Indy, is how is the stance for NRIs now, or people of Indian origin? Because how are they going to be taxed? Which is the country which will be responsible for the taxation, and which, if there's a persecution, which is the country which will be actually doing that? Can you answer this for me? It's been playing in my head for a long time.
That's a great question, Raj, and I think that there are complexities on this which are yet to be fully understood and appreciated. But I'll give you a great base case example of this. If I'm an NRI and I'm trading and I've got an account with an international exchange, and therefore for taxation purposes, I'm not a resident Indian, then India has no tax jurisdiction. But again, these are things that will get far more clarified. And to that extent, I think the rules of regular financial assets, when you're buying equities or bonds for an NRI that is not based in India, would apply. In the case of an NRI that has a local, let's say, centralized exchange account with any of the exchanges that are registered in India and therefore seen as an India, account holder, again, there are FEMA rules that would apply if you're NRI. So is it an NRE account that's feeding the crypto account, and therefore is it a local bank account? Because NRIs are not, under the FEMA rules, you need to have separate bank accounts to be able to transact locally in India. So lots of considerations would come in. But the fact is, guys, I think the way I see this, and to that extent, I remain optimistic, is that for the first time, the government, with its taxation announcement on crypto, is de facto giving crypto some level of recognition.
Fantastic.
As an industry. While it's not officially recognized yet, if you read the official communication on it. But I do believe that this is albeit a baby step, but it's a step in the right direction, where the government is taking a step to recognize the industry. I also believe, and this is not just the Indian government considerations, DeFi remains, the decentralized exchanges remain a real point of contention for India as well as for the governments around the world. And I think to that extent, managing systemic risk and protecting investors from a public policy standpoint is going to be top of the agenda. And taxation being an element of compliance stroke revenue generation to bring it at par with other financial assets is how I would read the broader discourse, in the country, as well as internationally in terms of how crypto gains legitimacy over time.
So Indy sir, you mentioned that protecting investors should be government's top agenda. My follow-up question to you is, what measures should government take to retain them? That's what is actually we are discussing about it.
This is a great question, and I think that the investor protection issues have played out quite openly in the last couple of months with the rout that we've seen in crypto trading and crypto markets worldwide. You had many exchanges that have gone under and have gone into bankruptcy or receivership. And this is really for the benefit of investors. When you have a brokerage account in the normal stock market world, you have an online broking account or what have you. If a brokerage goes under, your holdings are protected because there is a custodian behind that is basically holding, your stocks and bonds, and all you do is just you move it to another online account, etc. The investor protection issues here is when an exchange is coming under pressure and they're putting a halt to withdrawals, etc., and the liabilities of the exchanges are now, being met, or rather has the risk of being met through account holders. This is an area of real concern, and it should be for crypto investors. So to that extent, regulation is not a bad thing if it creates safety nets, and if the safety nets were to come through in a kind of constructive fashion, it's only going to be positive for the industry in the long haul.
So in this first segment, we have discussed about all the macro aspects of taxation is concerned and what is the way forward. So stay tuned on Crypto TV to watch this micro segment, that is segment 2. Thank you.
वेब 3.0 गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में बहुत सारी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हम देख रहे हैं, बहुत सारे इश्यूज हैं जिसकी वजह से ब्लॉकचेन गेमिंग पर सवाल उठ रहे हैं। इन तमाम सवालों के जवाब देने के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़ गए हैं विश्वास भूषण।
The kind of attraction and the kind of money flow happens in the gaming industry is completely insane. We are early and people are coming up with different ideas which attracts investors as well because they know the value of gaming.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all the viewers of Crypto TV in segment 2 of taxation, wherein we'll be discussing about all the micro aspects that have concerned or bothered the industry. So Raj sir, we were talking to a couple of gaming projects who are operating outside India. So they have a lot of developers worldwide who are helping them to develop a game. So this is just an example to understand how the tax structure looks like. So there are in that gaming company, we will not mention that company. They have roughly around 5 developers from India, and they were accepting their salaries in cryptos. So how is this structure looking like? How the crypto workers' salary will be taxed in India after the tax, the changed regime? And do they have to pay 1% TDS for every salary payment? Or if you can just clarify this, because there are a lot of developers who will be watching your interview, sir.
Yeah, well, most developers I know are not taking any more in tokens and points. That's the first thing. I work with a lot of them myself, so I know that for sure. They have actually refused to take it now. Earlier, it was a norm. As I told you, when things are good and everything is soaring upwards, everybody's happy to take the token. When it's going downwards, nobody's happy to take the token or the coin. Now, coming from a tax perspective, well, I think the same tax provisions will apply, but there again has to, as Indy said, this is just evolving. We're just at the beginning. We're at the ground floor of our taxation policy, basically, vis-a-vis crypto or digital assets. What happens now is there will be definitions. They will have the branching out. NFTs will, I'm sure, be treated differently. Crypto will be treated differently. Salaries and token. First of all, there has to be clarity whether anybody can accept a salary or reward or, a sort of a compensation in tokens. Even that is not very clear. So advice to any developers, take cash, take fiat right now. That's my advice right now. Things may change and let clarity come. They're going to be taxed in the same way once they actually convert their holdings. They're going to be taxed the same way. It's not going to be much different. But the most important question here is it legally allowed for us to take tokens or coins as compensation? That is the fundamental question. That needs to be absolutely clear, and that's not clear right now.
So, Andy sir, your very quick take on this, sir.
Sure. This is a really interesting question, and the complications, as you've seen, this is a great use case. But if I'm the taxman sitting there and saying, how do I tax people being paid in cryptocurrency, for example, the taxman is going to say, this is income, this is salary, this is income. And therefore, if you're receiving, 0.5 Bitcoin as payment of salary, well, 0.5 Bitcoin in terms of at the point of receipt is a value, because there's a market value for that Bitcoin. That's your income. And therefore, to the extent to which you need to pay your taxes, it's normal income tax rules that would apply. And to that extent, if it hasn't been deducted by the payer of the salary, like we have in normal company terms when you're paying salaries to employees, there's deduction, then the recipient is obligated to file their taxes on the marginal tax rate on the basis of which they're receiving their salary. So it's seen as regular income tax. The mode of, the type of payment is less important as opposed to the value of receipt of
Fantastic.
that income.
So, Indy sir, very quickly, if you can just also highlight before we move to our micro sections, wherein we'll cover all the NFT tax implications as well. So, very quickly, if you can just highlight or mention few countries that are actually low on taxes, and that is the reason why people are moving away from India to those segments.
Well, I mean, one of the things that you have is there are jurisdictions around the world like Singapore, Dubai, that have been seen as fairly favorable to taxation currently. But then again, Singapore has no capital gains tax even for trading in capital markets,
Fantastic.
In equity markets.
Yeah.
So, you really have to think of it in terms that taxation policies around the world and crypto continue to evolve. And there's likely to be convergence between financial assets and crypto assets with some checks and balances.
All right, so we move to our next segment, that is micros as far as taxation is concerned. So we will discuss in detail in all those sectors who are having or concerns as far as ambiguity, or for that matter, if there is any clarity is required. So we'll begin with NFT section with Raj sir. Transactions in NFT sale and purchase, what kind of clarity you would like to provide, and will it attract kind of TDS, and if you can just simplify this tax structure in NFTs for our viewers who are actually engaged in buying and selling in India?
Well, NFTs basically one of the most complicated issues of an NFT is where is it originated? Basically, that's there. Then cross-border transactions are also there. That's another thing which needs to be addressed. Compliances, does it have any compliances? It doesn't have any right now. These 2-3 things are immediate which come to mind, top of the mind recall, which come among. There are many others, of course, countrywide, etc. Different rules, regulations from a country perspective. So it boils down to the question, we don't have the clarity, we don't have the framework. We've been actually asking for a framework for a long time and put forward several suggestions as well. Let's see where that takes us. NFTs, as we speak, and I think Indy will give a better, from a taxation perspective, he'll be able to answer that. For me, I think there will be the same taxation, the rules would apply as of now as they are to crypto, which is not exactly true, because how do you determine the value of an NFT? Basically, it's a perceived value, it's a notional value. So I think, Indy, you would say something from a tax perspective,
Sure.
from an industry perspective.
the one thing which Raj, which we probably need to further elaborate is that when you're looking at international NFTs or cryptocurrencies traded in foreign currency, from an India perspective, if you're an India tax resident, not only do you have to worry about the 30% on a crypto to crypto mark to market value, you also have to take into account exchange rate fluctuations.
Fantastic.
INR versus the dollar or whatever.
Valid point, sir.
So the whole exchange angle. And I think from normal NFT taxation standpoint, whether there's going to be a distinction between NFTs and crypto, as Raj clearly pointed out, is a matter of public policy that needs clarity. But I think the real double whammy here that's the investors are being spooked is you're only being taxed on your gains and you're not being allowed any offset in your losses.
Absolutely.
That in a highly volatile trading environment causes a massive disincentive to trade. So I think this is something that government policy will reflect on as it evolves as taxation policy.
So, Indy sir, just a question as far as our traders and viewers all those viewers who are watching this interaction is, there are quite frequent NFT trades that are happening. So, will both buyers and sellers have to pay TDS of 1%, or is it that only buyer pays it? If you can just clarify this for our viewers.
The TDS is payable on one side. The person who is essentially making the payment, again, there's some clarity here to be had. And therefore, the TDS is deducted, at the point of payment to the recipient. And therefore, whoever is deducting the TDS files the TDS against, the person that is in receipt of it. So TDS at the end of the day is not double taxation, it's an offset. And I think the primary purpose of TDS is to create a kind of transaction ID where every transaction is now being, with a TDS component can be recognized within the government system. So it's traceability more than anything else, I would think.
All right. Raj sir, you want to quickly add to it?
No, I agree with the double whammy aspect of it. That's one part. TDS, again, TDS also, by the way, the government used it as another option, for a lot of illegal trade as well. So we got to have even that addressed along with all the taxation. I'm talking from a overall compliance perspective, not only from a tax perspective. But I think TDS will have to be separated from crypto, as it's a completely different asset class. So I always think I don't see it's the same as crypto, although of course the fundamental and underlying technology is the same. But we need to have more clarity on NFTs, for example, because it also has your gas fees, etc. Are you going to deduct the gas fees and then have a profit on it? What is going to be the question? There is a lot of ambiguity again. Ambiguity. As long as there's ambiguity, there are going to be questions. Another question, for example, could be, how about if a charitable organization puts across an NFT and somebody buys it? Is the charitable organization also, the tax, does it apply to them as well? That's a question again, which is going to come up, because a lot of things are happening. A lot of charitable organizations coming up and buying NFTs. Why are they buying it? Fantastic. Is there a way out? Is it a loophole?
That's a super valid point, sir. Let me ask a follow-up question to Indy sir on this. It's a case study, just for example. So, if NFTs are quite volatile like crypto, as we all are aware, a user, say for example, there is a user who might sell it today, for example, 40% profit and pay taxes on it. But in NFT, they might make 80%. There are some NFTs, they might make a 60% losses. So how will users cope with this heavy taxation that doesn't offset losses, since you have already mentioned that? So is there a way NFT traders can manage their losses?
At the moment, Manoj, this is an element of real uncertainty in terms of whether you will be allowed NFT to NFT offsets. But the policy of the government right now is very clear. We're only interested in gains. So the 30% rule applies to all gains. There's nothing that has been said that you can offset losses or create accumulated losses for future tax purposes, as we have in the financial asset world, where you're allowed to carry accumulated short-term losses. So I think to that extent, this is a part of public policy that needs clarification. I think there's enough conversation going around in the government circles and in public policy in that sense. So expect more clarity. I think like I said right at the beginning, these are baby steps towards granting crypto as an industry legitimacy. And therefore, there's going to be some pain along the way or some uncertainty along the way as we traverse this journey.
Fantastic. So baby steps and uncertainty, those are the two key words, Raj sir, which I've picked from this statement. So as we enter in our last leg of this interaction, so there are a couple of questions which I want you to answer is, what will be the taxation on crypto gifts? So if you can just highlight that. Say for example, if someone wants to gift someone in cryptos, so will they be taxed? And who will be taxed? If you can just highlight that.
From what I see,
taxation, sorry, yes, Raj.
No, actually it's your question indeed. You should go ahead and answer it.
Right, so you have your gift rules that are in place. So up to 50,000 rupees, you're not taxed for receipt of gifts. And therefore, anything above that, you are liable for, calculating your taxes as per the crypto tax rules. And again, with all of these things, there's need for more clarity. And I think to that extent, the flat 30% rule was an initial step, which, as we've all said, has, a lot of these use cases need more explanation. And if there's any exceptions to be made, then public policy or government policy on taxation will arrive at something on this.
All right, Rasa, you want to add quickly to it? Will you be gifting someone in cryptos, or you would prefer the traditional cash measure?
Yeah. Well, if you have to gift in cryptos, you shouldn't be sitting in India, that's for sure.
All right.
I would rather give it in cash. I'll stick to cash right now. I'd rather give them some knowledge rather than give them that.
All right. So Indy sir, my next question to you is, how are crypto airdrops taxed in India? So there are a lot of airdrops that are happening, and there was some indication by Indian government about the airdrop thing. If you can just clarify this for our viewers as well, that's it.
Again, details would emerge on this front, but generally, when you're receiving an airdrop, your crypto taxation is calculated on the basis of a kind of cost basis, and then your exit price, and therefore the difference is what you would pay your taxes on. If you've received an airdrop where your cost of acquisition is zero, then the cost basis calculation on one side of the equation is zero. So if you end up selling it for 10,000 or what have you at some point, then your 30% obligation is on the entire 10,000. Now, perhaps there is, government has its thought process around this. You might receive an airdrop and you've transferred money separately to them, which is where they're trying to control this by saying, hey, you know what, on a cost basis, some of these transactions will be deemed value zero, and therefore you're liable for taxation on across, all of its value at the point of when you're either converting to another crypto or converting to fiat.
So if you can just clarify this for our viewers, sir. Say for example, someone in India is having say maybe 500 Luna before the episode that happened. Mm-hmm. And for that matter, that algorithmic stablecoin, which I don't want to mention that as well, that is the reason why the market is down. So, and they had come out with a 2.0 version where the airdrops were actually activated. So how will that tax structure look like? If you can just clarify that, sir.
Again, it's the version 2.2 is seen as a separate crypto asset altogether, and therefore any airdrops, this is where all the complications come in. It would be treated as a separate crypto asset. Therefore, there are two transactions taking place here. One from the Luna 1 to Luna 2 is one transaction. So if there's any gains to be had there, you would essentially be liable for taxes. And then what you do with Luna 2 down the line, in terms of exit or conversion, if there's any kind of upside value in a mark-to-market sense, then you're liable for taxes again. But if you've taken a loss, profit on one and loss on the other, and the loss can't be offset, that's the bit that I think the investors would love to see some clarity and perhaps some understanding where some level of loss adjustments are offered to the industry, like you have in normal financial assets.
So what's your very quick take on that, sir? Losses तो हैं ही वहाँ पर, और यहाँ पर जो नया एयरड्रॉप मिल रहा है उसके ऊपर भी उनको टैक्सेस भरने को आ रहा है, तो ये कुछ काइंड ऑफ discouraging situation is there which is actually going on in India, sir?
Discouraging to khair, I mean, I think to that extent, crypto investors को ये भी समझना है कि till such time policy clarity emerges where a lot of these kind of use cases, which are not the normal use cases, are factored into the taxation policy where you know specifically how you would address them. There's uncertainty. These are very legitimate questions. But under the current regime, without any offset, there's clearly some level of disincentive. But clarity will emerge. I have full confidence that I always tell people that taxation is here to stay. And the level of taxation we can debate and argue, but it's also steps to legitimize the crypto industry over time.
All right, one last question to you both is, Raj sir, we have seen total value locked in the DeFi space coming down from 74 billion. It has come down by 60%. So what is the entire episode? It has been under trouble and under broader concern as well. So what is your take, and what are the tax structure as far as the DeFi transactions are concerned? If you can just mention that as well, sir.
Basically, when you make structures in a hurry, they're always going to fall or have impact, that's for sure. It's like for anything, you make a bridge in a hurry, you'll have the same problem. All these structures came up with a lot of patchy work if you look at it very carefully. I'll keep it simple without going into the technical aspect of it. But if you look at it, most of the structures were not prepared or tailored for in environments such as what we experience right now. Taking a step back a little bit, let's see, we are in the same stage as what GST was when it started off, basically. It started off with something, and look at the entire contours of it now are completely different 2 years, 3 years down the line. There has been a paradigm shift. There have been a lot of iterations, a lot of additions, a lot of discussions around, a lot of debates around it. And now it's going towards some levels of maturity. Whether it's DeFi, whether it is the taxations, everything is in the same space right now.
Fantastic.
A, lack of awareness. B, lack of frameworks. 3, lack of clarity. All this is putting just unnecessary questions for a lot of us. Whereas actually we can make this much more simplified. I'm not saying simple, but simplified for the common man. And that's missing. We're completely missing that. These structures they're not very stable right now. They need a change and they need an overhaul.
Structures are not stable as of now and they need a change. That's a word coming in from Mr. Raj Kapoor. Indy sir, your closing remarks on this, sir.
My closing remarks would be that investors should not be too discouraged. I think that the industry, they need to understand that the industry is in a very early stage of development. Government policy will emerge. If the government had to ban crypto, I think the ban would have come through by now. But I do believe that regulation will come through when it comes to managing systemic risk, providing for investor protection, and also, the sensitive area around national security, which is around terror financing and anti-money laundering, and therefore any anti-money laundering provisions that might come in. These are the broader issues that the government is going to, grapple with as part of its overall policy. And within all of this, taxation, I think if the industry gets stability and there's certainty in many aspects and there's investor confidence is raised, taxation will evolve in a way that investors will live with taxation. Haven't we lived with taxation in the capital markets?
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much for being part of this interaction. Andy sir, thank you so much. Raj sir, thank you so much. You both of gentlemen have actually clarified और यहाँ पर लेकर एक बहुत ही अच्छा एक tax structure को लेकर आपने बहुत अच्छी तरीके से explain किया. Andy sir, thank you so much for clarifying the entire tax structure as far as India, international, and what is the way forward. And Raj sir, you gave a very fantastic overview about how the companies are leaving India and moving to other destinations because of a broader uncertainty. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of this interaction.
Thank you so much,
Manoj. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
All right, that's all there is in today's Digitally Unplugged, the special episode on taxation. We hope you like our presentation and stay tuned on Crypto TV for more such interesting episodes. Thank you.